What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It is I, your more phenomenal host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus More Phenomenal, your weekly stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Ultraman, Kamen Rider news and reviews right here, going live for you guys today over on our YouTube page, Facebook, as well as Twitch for you gamers out there. A little bit of an impromptu episode here today. We didn't have one this past weekend. My life wound up getting a little bit busy, I had a fantastic weekend, by the way. But I still wanted to go ahead and provide you guys with some sort of content. And so I said, you know what? I will try and drop something this weekend. I wasn't able to on Sunday. So you know what? Let's go ahead and just kick off this week right with a great episode of A Plus More Phenomenal for you guys, as we have a plethora of not only news to get through, but we're also going to be getting into some Dino Fury reviews. That's right. We're going to be breaking down Dino Fury Season 2, Episode number 8, Serious Business for you guys today. We also have a little bit of an update in regards to some Power Ranger reboot news that we're going to be talking about for you guys, have some speculation and see what's certainly going on there. And then, of course, we have your live viewer questions. We actually have quite a few to certainly get into today, so it should certainly be a pretty good episode. I'm trying to see what we got. We got Dino Fury, we got the Jonathan Entwistle stuff. I also have some Dino Fury Stuntman stuff for us to talk about, and then even some Donbrothers magazine scans that we recently just got in also. So it should be a stacked episode, guys, for not only Power Ranger fans, but Tokusatsu fans alike. So thank you very much for certainly joining me here on a Monday. We'll see how long this episode certainly goes for. I still haven't watched this week's episode of Donbrothers. Monday's usually the day in which I usually will sit down and watch Donbrothers, record it in the evening, and then have it ready for you guys on Tuesday. But since we're doing this live, we'll see how late I feel like staying up tonight to try and get some work and some content done for you guys. So we'll definitely see how that goes from here. But thank you guys for certainly joining us here today, and I'm really excited to see who has all joined us today. And listen, especially if you're in the live chat, even if you're just stopping by to say what's up and then bouncing, do me a big favor, guys. Hit that like button, hit that big thumbs up, even if it's something you're not sticking around for, but you're making your presence known in the live chat. If you're coming through our channel, man, whatever video you're watching, please hit that like button. It really does go a long way. Good old Harka kicking us off here today. Thank you very much. We got Michael Rhymes in the house as well. Good old John Schuyler making his presence felt today. We got Enrique Perez going on. What's going on, buddy? Thank you very much, man. You're probably like my cousin from somewhere, I'm pretty sure. We got Ibase in the house also. He says, oh snap, A Plus More Phenomenal on the Monday. My prayers have been answered. Yeah, God comes through, doesn't he, Ibase? We got Ram Jam certainly in the house. He says, I'm going to binge watch Donbrothers this weekend. You do it, Ram Jam, and then you come back and you tell us how thankful you are that we've loved this series. And I'm telling you, watch it, Ram Jam. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. I definitely recommend it. We got good old Nicole in the house. Thank you very much. From Nashville, but I live in San Diego. Very nice. I love it. I've only visited San Diego one time briefly. I literally spent like one evening there and then actually drove back to Texas. I've never been to Nashville, but I've always wanted to go to Nashville. So, what's up, Nicole? Thank you very much for certainly coming through today. Jackson Peterson in the house. Yo, yo, yo. Roberto. What's up, Roberto? Hola, amigo. Good to see you, man. Thank you very much for coming through. Kurt, simply fantastic to see you as always. We got Francois coming through from France, our little international superstar over there. Carlo, what's up? Carlo's in the house too. We got Jericho here as well. Good old Gabriel certainly in the house. He says, I'm on my last break here at work before I can go home. Well, hopefully your shift ends relatively soon. We got Ram Jam in here too. Good old Carter Matthews. He says, hey, I'm new here. I was going to say, Carter, I don't know if I've recognized your name, so thank you very much for joining. I wanted to join last week, but I was too shy. Hey, you know what? Welcome to the family, Carter. We appreciate you certainly coming through, man. We got Chris in the house as well. Good old Jack Daniels. I love Power Rangers, and I love Jack Daniels, by the way. Good old I suck on my own balls. You're talented, bro. You're talented. Who else we got? Tarek in the house, the Mofo Knight. AJ, is that you? Is that you, AJ? If it's not you, Tarek, I love the screen name, the Mofo Knight. I love it. Johnny Marrero's in the house. Good to see you, buddy, as always. Adam Perea, my twin. Thank you very much for coming through today. Blossom's in the house. Emmanuel's here as well. He says this is one of the worst episodes of season 2. He says, wow. Emmanuel, also Koala, good old Koala, showing their presence today. Edward Sanchez Productions is here. Carter, if you do have a question, you can always submit your questions over to us at aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. You can submit them at any time during the week. One question, or I should say one email a week, preferably one question at this point, just based off of the fact that we're getting a lot of emails these days. But if you do want to submit anything in aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com, one email a week, and hopefully one question too. Who else we got? Frankie's in the house today. Thank you very much, Frankie. Video DVD certainly coming through. And of course, Marcelino Vasquez. Good to have you in here, buddy. I appreciate you guys certainly joining me on a Monday, no less. So yeah, man, I kind of like surprising you guys and throwing you off the scent a little bit by not having an episode on Saturdays. So we do plan on having an episode this Saturday for you guys, or at least I believe so. I believe we're going to have an episode on Saturday still. The Sunday episode of A Plus Hero Report, probably not due to Mother's Day. So I'll keep you guys posted, though, in regards to that. Before we get into our topics, a couple of things that I wanted to go ahead and bring to everybody's attention. Think of this as like honorable mentions, some things that were kind of thrown in here this week. Not big topics that we wanted to go ahead and really spend 30 minutes on, but things that we certainly felt you deserved to see. And one of the things that I really want to go ahead and give props to real quick, man, good old Abraham Rodriguez himself. You guys probably remember him as Nate from Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Just had a huge celebration either yesterday or the day before in regards to him becoming an author. I don't know if this is his first book or not. Maybe he's actually written one before, but good old Abraham Rodriguez has officially put out a book, and they wind up having a little bit of a premiere, if you will. What do you call the reveal of a book for the very first time? I guess it's still considered a premiere. I'm not quite sure, but good old Abraham showed up looking simply the finest, ladies and gentlemen, ready to go ahead and celebrate his day, as he has in fact released his book Mixed Feelings by Abraham Rodriguez. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out, please go ahead and do so. Amazon says, from popular film and television actor Abraham Rodriguez comes Mixed Feelings, a collection of poems and photographs that explores the back and forth emotions and experience of love, heartbreak, and healing. Emotive poetry is brought to life with photographs that illustrate story behind the words. Composed of both English and Spanish verse, this collection speaks to young people experiencing the highs of love and the lows of loss. So good, give it up to Abraham Rodriguez for Mixed Feelings. If you guys want to go ahead and certainly check out his book, I did go ahead and put a link in the description box below for you guys. If you want to check it out, it's available in paperback along with on Kindle also. So again, there is a link in the description box if you want to go ahead and pick it up from Amazon and show good old Abraham Rodriguez certainly your support. This kind of reminds me also when Liana Ramirez became an author and wound up publishing a book a couple of years back. I believe she's actually working on her sequel now. But listen, not only did Abraham get the opportunity to celebrate his day, but he got the opportunity to celebrate it with people that he loves, very close members to his family. Listen, first off, can I just say, good old Liana Ramirez was there. You get the opportunity to see good old Hunter Dino here also, who plays Amelia over on Dino Fury. She certainly showed up. This was a really great sort of coming together of the most recent series of Power Rangers and Beast Morphers as well. As you got to see Abraham there, Liana was there, clearly Hunter Dino was there, Russell Curry certainly coming through, and Alexandra, I was going to say Nunez, but I believe she's officially changed her last name to Young. She hasn't gotten married, if you ask. I don't believe so, at least. Not that I'm aware of. I don't see a ring on her finger. But her Instagram and everything that I've seen of her so far is calling her Alexandra Young. So I don't know if that's like a middle name that she's certainly now using instead of Nunez. trust me when I say I know plenty of actors that are maybe of different race, different cultures that have a unique sounding last name that sometimes they do change in order to maybe open up opportunities when it comes to Hollywood and acting. Sometimes sometimes people are discriminatory based off of just what your last name is, and maybe it's a little bit harder for Alexandra to find work. Who certainly knows? But I think it was fantastic that despite the recast, Alexandra winds up still being there also to go ahead and support her friends. I'm assuming maybe she was, I don't know if she was friends with them before. Same thing when it comes with Hunter. Was she friends with Abraham before all this? Or is it really the case of like, hey, Power Rangers just truly brings everybody together. You wind up supporting each other and just wind up just becoming so close to each other. I think it's a fantastic opportunity and feeling, honestly. And so for me, as a fan, I love getting an opportunity to see moments like this. The fact of the Rangers not just hanging out with each other, especially with the fact of Dino Fury being such a new season, the fact that there's so many past Rangers that have their arms wide open, welcoming them in and becoming incredible friends here. So Abraham had the fantastic opportunity to spend the time not only celebrating himself, but getting it to celebrate his friends as well. And he definitely came out and showed his love for good old Abraham. So again, mixed feelings. Congratulations, Abraham. And if you guys are interested in picking up a copy of his book, again, there is a link in the description box below. But I thought that was really cool. Those are just some of the pictures I was able to find. There were plenty of other ones. I definitely, like, if I went on YouTube, I was watching just people on the red carpet taking pictures of Abraham, literally like just Power Ranger after Power Ranger coming up to homeboy and hanging out with them. Jordan says they really showed support for him. They truly did. And again, I don't know how close they are. I don't know if it was like they all hang out in the same circles before they even became Power Rangers, or if it's a case of, hey, we're part of the family now. We're all communicating and stuff, you know, as we're filming and whatever the case may be. And they've really grown a fantastic bond here. And so I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Francois says, I'm calling it. Alexandra Young will be a small role in Dino Fury. He thinks maybe she might pop up here in this particular season at some point in time in order to, you know, maybe a quick cameo. Who certainly knows? I don't believe she went on the flight out there. I feel like her Instagram was pretty much her back home, unfortunately. But who certainly knows? Crazier things have definitely happened, to certainly say the least. But I'm super pumped and really happy for Abraham, guys. Outside of that news, you know, we always talk about sort of the impact that Power Rangers has on pop culture and in everyday life, right? For some people, it's unfortunate that it tends to be MMPR most of the time, honestly. But honestly, anytime that I get to see Power Rangers recognized in some place that you normally wouldn't find it, there is something about it that I certainly enjoy. And so I wanted to go ahead and share this with you guys because I was just scrolling on Twitter the other day. And I found this. Let me go ahead and pull this up, as I'm a big sports guy. You know, sometimes I will certainly spend my mornings listening to good old sports talk radio. Well, not necessarily sports talk radio, but my YouTube channels. Usually a lot of podcasts that I watch on YouTube. We'll talk sports and things like that. And it came up on my feed here. And I wanted to go ahead and share this with you guys. This is from a show on ESPN called Around the Horn. And this says, before the horn, accidental Power Ranger color coordination. So they usually will have 4 guests, you know, to go ahead and debate certain sports topics that the host will certainly present to them. And let me go ahead and showcase this to you guys.
4 picks.
Look at everyone matching their colors
This is
today.
incredible. How did this happen? Everybody is matching their box.
Yeah, their shirts are actually matching the colors.
Power Rangers thing. Yes. You did it.
Oh, I knew I was
the
a big
Power
Ranger.
Ranger Voltron scenario here.
This is a Voltron situation for sure.
If it was the Power Rangers, we would have to talk like this.
Saber-tooth tiger.
Oh, Elle's got a down pat.
Guys.
She's got a little Spidey in there, though.
I love the morphing
That's
changes
true.
they're trying to
But
do.
they did, like, right, everything was like this.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We must go defeat them.
It's like you're dancing on TikTok.
Yeah, somebody get this man a new background screen
Is
for
this
sure.
the first Tony in 7,000
This is
episodes?
the first.
I've
This is
never
an absolute
seen
first.
this
We've
before.
gone 3 or 4. Sarah, I'm sure it's in her head. I feel like she's like planning for it.
I don't know if you can even hear the
Sarah
audio or
thinks
not.
about
Let me know
that
if you
sort of
can.
thing.
Problem is that Power
Yo,
Rangers
Power Rangers
came
toys,
along where I was
man.
at an age where I was just a little too cool, but I had friends and cousins that liked it, so I couldn't make fun of it, but I had to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this guy's a Power
So
Ranger
it's
hater.
like, right.
I was
sure, we'll
that
watch
not
it, whatever.
cool child.
Yeah.
Unironically
Would we be
loving
Power
the
Rangers,
hell
or
out of
would we
these
would we
Zords.
morph into one major thing, or would we be Captain Planet, where we will all use our
Captain
powers
Planet.
together?
No, this is
and
totally a
work with each
Power
other
Ranger
for the good of the
situation.
planet.
Even
I like
better
Voltron
than
the best,
Captain
Sal,
Planet.
where we
Okay,
just
Yates, I
form
get the
together in space
Voltron
to
thing.
blow
I
up
get it.
random planets that don't exist. That's my personal
Okay.
favorite.
I dig the Power
I
Ranger
have
reference
to
better.
be the baddie in this.
But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. Hopefully you guys got the opportunity to hear the audio. I went and shared it, but I wasn't quite sure if the audio was available or not to you guys. But yeah, I thought it was actually pretty fun. And you know what's funny is that like I've actually watched that show a bajillion times, and every time that I've seen it, they have had the color coordinated boxes, but the fact that the guests themselves literally wore the same color that their box certainly did, pretty hilarious stuff, man. Pretty hilarious stuff. Talk about really convenient. But again, it just goes to show you the impact that Power Rangers has over people. Like they're all older people too, right? Probably around our age or whatever, or my age, probably in their 30s or whatever the case may be. But yeah, so I thought that was actually pretty fun. So anytime I get the opportunity to see Power Rangers in pop culture randomly where it probably doesn't necessarily belong, I like always bringing it up to you guys and showcasing you the power that is Power Rangers and certainly its impact, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, Power Rangers still going strong out there somewhere for sure. All right, guys. What are you guys saying in here? Blossom says, I love Power Ranger references. You see the parody they once did for them for Sesame Street. Oh, I didn't see the Sesame Street one, but that's pretty cool. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we will go ahead and dive into this week's episode and start talking some of these topics. And we are, of course, going to go ahead and start off with good old Dino Fury, episode 8, season 2, serious business. Speaking of mixed feelings, you could say I had mixed feelings about this episode. I truly did. You know, I'm just to get it out of the way. Can I just get it out of the way? I honestly thought it was a little ridiculous that a 10-year-old hacker wind up breaking into Buzz Blast. I'm just being honest. I don't care how many coding classes this little girl took. I don't believe it. You know, look, it's Power Rangers. It's for kids. Sometimes you gotta suspend your disbelief, and I get it. But I think they probably could. You couldn't choose anybody else. I'm not even gonna lie. When Buzz Blast got hacked this week, I was like, oh shit, the Russians. Oh no, ransomware. Somebody got to pay up. You know, I thought it would be maybe a little bit. Look, I knew it wasn't Russians, but I honestly thought maybe it would be something a little bit more serious than what it was. And I kind of dug the whole like Purge, maybe even Saw vibes, right? I feel like we've been getting sort of that, you know, weird masked person or disfigured person, you know, face in the screen, eerie voiceover type of thing. It feels even like the Joker from the Dark Knight, right? When he's on the cell phone, you could probably even compare it to maybe like the Riddler in the recent Batman movie. Also, it definitely had sort of that creepy sort of vibe. So there was a part of me that was kind of hoping like the payoff and the reveal of it would be fantastic, right? Like they literally took it pretty seriously in the episode. Buzz Blast and everybody's like, oh my God, somebody's broken in. They're messing with our businesses. You know what I'm saying? And the music got tense. You know, shout out to Bert Selling for great music setting the tone that this was a serious topic, right? I mean, you even had somebody like Ion that was busting jokes and laughing at all the terrible dad jokes. He's like, I just don't get what the problem is, guys. Like, at the most insensitive time, you could ask somebody to want to crack jokes when everybody else around them is certainly taking their job extremely seriously. I know he's an outsider looking in, right? So there are times I definitely try and give Ion sort of the benefit of the doubt. But he was getting a little bit of annoying, even to me, in the beginning aspect of this episode. And I kind of felt a little bit weird about the idea. Like, even Homeboy is still listening to the jokes in the command center, still going on about it, being super insensitive about the whole situation. And the fact that Ion is the one that actually solves the problem or bumps into the hacker and speaks some sense into it, I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of feels, again, mixed feelings, guys. There's a part of me that feels some type of way about, you reward the guy that was insensitive to other people's feelings. I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it. Again, this is just me. This is just my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, I always clearly want to know your guys, but this is just my thoughts in regards to it. What I did appreciate, and I did like the scene that we did get between Ion and Mara in here. As he does eventually wind up finding out that she is in fact the one that wind up putting in the hack. Like, for me, it's just not believable. It's just not believable to me. I mean, listen, if you want to find me a 10-year-old girl that knows coding and can hack people's things to that extent and keep people from being able to get back into their own content, then maybe I'll believe you. But that's a little bit far-fetched for even me. A child will easily get it, and I get it. Maybe this episodes, clearly I was not the target audience for sure. So I didn't necessarily care much about the hacking storyline in here, but I am curious to see if Mara will pop back up in this season. The fact that she did do what she did to Buzz Blast, and we do see even Jane at the very end, pretty impressed with her skills, even her jokes that she wind up having, giving her an opportunity to certainly prove herself at the very end to right the wrong that she did and to maybe eventually get the show that she certainly wanted to, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing Mara maybe pop back up in here again as an actress, as a performer. I certainly liked her in this particular week's episode. For me, it's really the script and maybe just the storyline idea of, this little girl, who's pulling off these tactics that like the government probably wishes they were able to defend against. And yet she's the one that hacks Buzz Blast of all people, sort of thing. It just felt a little bit off to me. But that's okay. That's okay. Outside of that, though, there were some really great moments in this episode that I certainly appreciated, because we do have really two main storylines in here, right? You have the hacker situation when it comes to Buzz Blast, as Buzz Blast is in the process of trying to get to 10 million subscribers. That's pretty impressive. Like, I wonder who on YouTube has 10 million subscribers and followers. Like, I had no idea Buzz Blast was as big of a channel or as a station as it certainly was until this episode, knowing they have 10 million subscribers. And that's unfortunately when the hacker winds up coming in, when they were really getting the opportunity to go ahead and celebrate. Shout out also to Kira, Josephson, who wind up playing, who plays Jane in here, who in real life is a fantastic tap dancer. I've seen her on her Instagram a couple times posting some of her tap dancing videos, sometimes solo, sometimes with one or maybe two other partners, certain, type of thing, maybe going through some choreography. Extremely talented. And I really love when the Power Rangers show allows these actors to truly show their talents. And so for Kira to be able to get that opportunity to go ahead and showcase and show off what it is that she's capable of doing, I thought it was pretty awesome, man, to go ahead and actually celebrate her, getting the opportunity to see her at the end do her performance and stuff. We even had the confetti shooting up for her and stuff. It was a really great moment. But then the physical comedy, right? Like, literally the whole performance was going so great. And I was like, wow, like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, seeing Javi on the guitar, badass. Seeing, Jane up, tap dancing, impressive girl. And then all of a sudden she jumps onto her hands, like she kicks her feet, her shoes off, and then she puts them on her hands, and then she starts tap dancing. What is happening? It's that type of like physical comedy that just like I just roll my eyes at it, you know? And I don't say anything and I just wait for it to be over until another part of the episode comes on and I'm ready to be happy again. Again, not aimed towards me. I totally get it. So yeah, I won't harp on it too much, but it is the physical comedy when we start doing stuff like that. I'm just like, it just takes me out of it just a little bit. On the other side of things, though, we got a good old storyline with Void Knight along with Void Queen here, who Void Queen is pretty much taken over in regards to leaders of this sort of villain group. Now that Void Knight's shown his traitorous ways, Void Queen's identity right now is to destroy the traitor. The fact that these two characters were once in love at one point in time, I need me a flashback. Like, I need me a flashback episode. Whether or not I have no idea if we're getting one or not. But, like, I would like to see some of these blanks filled in. Whether or not that comes in the rest of this first half or the second half. But I would like to know what that relationship was really like between Tarek along with Santora. What was the love that we had, that they had for each other? Because we've only seen one side express that love, right? Void Knight expressing that to Santora when she was trapped and wanting to save her, sort of thing. But on the other hand, we haven't really shown any sign of Void Queen being sympathetic, emotional, caring, in love with him at all. And now that he's become a traitor, definitely not so much whatsoever. But I want to see what that budding relationship was like. What was that love that Void Knight had for you? What was your relationship between you two? Did you feel some type of way about Void Knight this entire time? You know what I'm saying? And this now just gives you an excuse to try and kill him off. I have no idea, but I kind of would love to know a little bit more about Void Queen and Void Knight's relationship. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a little bit of a flashback at some particular point in time. So she winds up creating a monster here. I believe it was Track and Slash, if I'm not mistaken, to go ahead and follow his scent. And quick honorable mention to Mucus in this episode too, as Track and Slash, or whatever his name is, winds up sniffing the throne of Void Knight. He's like, malevolent doom. And he's like, oh, he wore my cologne I got him for his birthday. I was like, what? Mucus with the one-liners, man. I tell you, the dialogue in this show is so great sometimes. I mean, the Slither, the Mucus combo absolutely works. We even had an Javi dialogue in this episode too, where he kind of implied that they were stepping in something like you just stepped in a big pile of, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, that came out wrong, guys. So I really appreciate the dialogue and the effort that they're certainly making here for this particular season. But we do give Void Queen, who sends out a monster to go ahead and hunt down Void Knight. And the one thing that I really enjoyed about this episode when it comes to the Void Knight stuff is, you know, he's definitely following the Rangers around, you know, in the sense to maybe try and figure out what their scoop is, right? Like what troubles they're certainly having, like where's Void Queen or the monsters popping up at. And I think also maybe trying to eavesdrop a little bit on their conversations to see how they feel about the situation that they find themselves in, with Void Knight kind of helping them out just a little bit more, right? And I love the fact that you got somebody like Zato, who's very much kind of pushing back against it. Like he hasn't cared about anybody his whole entire life, or since he's started this. Why should we certainly believe him now? And then even calling Void Knight out at the end of the episode in the sense of like, hey, you know, you say that you want to help us and that you're not here to hurt us or attack us. Well, go ahead and prove it. And so the fact that he went out there and took on Track and Slash with ease was pretty impressive, considering the fact that our Rangers were really getting their ass kicked. Like, I felt like this was one of the few times in the season where our Rangers have really found themselves in a terrible predicament and haven't really been able to overcome, or really struggling, right? They used several different Dino keys in here, and nothing really worked until Void Knight came onto the scene and really gave them an idea of how to go ahead and certainly take them down. So, you know, really the big question will certainly come: can Void Knight capture the remaining Sporex that Void Queen has and certainly deliver them to the Rangers. This feels like a suicidal mission, if you ask me. The idea of having to get back into Area 62, fend off against Mucus, Slither, whatever monster of the week you have, along with Void Queen. It sounds like you're walking into trouble, unless Void Knight's got some way to maybe break into Area 62 or a back entrance way that nobody's really aware of. I do wonder, listen, this feels Real Soldier wise right about the time in which Nada sacrificed himself, or at least found himself in trouble and wind up dying before he gave his powers over to the Red Ranger and Real Soldier. And so I am wondering, like, is this attempt to get the Sporix Beast really going to be a suicidal mission, in the sense of like Void Knight manages to get it, but not without a cost, and maybe in turn providing the Rangers with the remaining Sporix or something? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't acquire it and then he gives Zato his powers, so that maybe Zato has now the power to go ahead and get the Sporix if he needs to. I'm not sure, but I am excited. And this all, I'm pretty sure, leads up to the new power up of Zato, or at least Zato's Battleizer that I've been gushing out of my nose about since like the very first episode of Dino Fury. Momentum wise, it feels like they're there. So if anything, I'm kind of going into next week's episode expecting a Battleizer, or at least a power up of some sort. So we'll see. But I do like the Void Knight stuff in here, man. And shout out to his civilian form, which, again, quick honorable mention, the fact that Tarek has a civilian form that looks that way, with the, like, homeboy just walks around with gauntlets on and rock star suspenders, like it's the normal thing to walk around in wherever he's at. And what makes it even more ridiculous, which, mind you, I love the costume for Tarek. I'm not bussing on his costume. What I am bussing on, though, is the fact that you're trying to tell me there's somebody else in that same town that's wearing the same exact clothing as him, that thought that that was a cool, like, fashion choice? Really? I tell you, man, kids are so gullible. Kids are so gullible. This is a kid show, so yeah, this is like one of the most gullible moments, but I thought that was hilarious. Like, homeboy, was he rocking the gauntlets too? I know he had maybe one of the straps. I don't think he did the double straps, but he definitely did the one strap thing. This definitely certainly made me laugh, but I love the civilian form for him. I wish Tarek had a little bit more dialogue. I wish that we did see a little bit more Power Ranger Void Knight interaction in this episode, but I love the idea of doubt creeping into the Dino Fury's mind. Should we trust him? Have him prove the trust to us, if you will. Void Knight doing certainly just that. Big fan of that, and a really big fan of the Void Queen stuff that we wind up getting in here also. Let me see here. The action, I thought the action looked pretty good. Nice little balance in between live action along with not live action, original footage and Sentai footage in there also. But yeah, man, other than that, this was a mixed bag for me, guys. This is a mixed bag. Listen, if you enjoyed this episode, I praise you, man. Props to you. I'm really glad that you certainly enjoyed it, and that this episode had everything that you were certainly looking for in it. So I'm certainly not here to crap on your enjoyment of the episode. Again, if anything, it just unfortunately just did not work for me as well as I was certainly hoping that it would. So yeah, a little bit lackluster, but there certainly were things in this episode that certainly jumped out to me that I definitely appreciated. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I want to know yours, though. If there's anything that I particularly missed, whether it be storyline details, character moments that you really want to go ahead and further talk about and discuss, go ahead and let me know your thoughts, guys, in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs, and we'll definitely go ahead and talk about it for the remainder of the week. But I will go ahead and scroll up and see what some of you guys are saying. Nicole says Hunter brought her new man at Abraham's book event. They look so good together and happy. They really do make a great looking couple. Her boyfriend actually has gray hairs, believe it or not. So I guess maybe Hunter likes her some older men. For who certainly knows? I had no idea. But they do certainly make a great couple. Let's see here. Trying to find some episodes specifically for some comments in regards to Ibase says, please don't get mad, but I really don't like when people make fun of Power Rangers when they do references. This is why PR is not taken seriously. Yeah. Let's see here. Blossom says, for the record, I think it was kind of weird about that little girl. The cheesy jokes were cracking me up. Yeah, the cheesy jokes were cracking me up because I do love me a good dad joke or a really cringy joke. So some of them were certainly making me laugh for sure. But you know, you got to read the room sometimes. You know, Blossom says, totally can't blame Ion for thinking the jokes are funny. I certainly don't blame him at all. But yeah, bad timing, but still funny for sure. Yeah, you got to read the room sometimes, you know. But yeah, he's not from around here, so I get the idea of he certainly has some things to learn about being on Earth. Jezzer, my boy, good old Luminardi. What's up, Jezzer? Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well, man. He says, can't wait for season 2B. Yeah, me too. I'm looking for that too. I like the key Amelia was using. Was that the hyper key, or there was like a muscle key or something like that? Because they were like, flex on him, Amelia, and she like came out with a big pink one. I can't remember exactly which one that was. Tarek says, I love this episode. It was quite amusing with the little girl being a hacker. I thought Ion joking around with somewhat traits of Jordan's TikToks, but overboard. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they probably lined up perfectly with his personality. You know what I mean? But yeah, a little bit overboard. Bad timing behind it all also, but I'm glad that you appreciated the little girl hacker, to certainly say the least. Byron says Tarek for him made this episode good. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, I'll give it like a 2.5. It's like a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Like it's mixed feelings. You know what I'm saying? Mixed feelings. Let's see here. What other comments you guys got? JB says, what? Says, yeah, the jokes, hated it. Wasn't a fan. Adam says, watch this episode 7 times and I still can't get enough. I like when I can watch ridiculous episodes of PR without breaking real world logic like Ninja Steel. Yeah, like this was a Ninja Steel episode. Like this was a Ninja Steel level type of episode for me. So yeah, like, hey, again, props to you, Adam, if you were a big fan of this episode and can't get it enough. You know, believe it or not, if you say you watched this episode 7 times, can I be honest with you? I watched this episode 4 times. One, because I think I I think I wind up getting distracted because I was trying to play with my little boy at the same time. The second time, he was finally asleep, and I said, you know what? I'm finally going to go ahead and sit back, relax, and watch this episode. I fell asleep the first like 3 minutes. I watched it in full the 3rd time, and then I just watched it again today for the 4th time in order to go ahead and make sure I had all my notes and stuff together. So for an episode that I was like 2.5 out of 5, I had to watch 4 times or almost. What's up, Mikey? Good to see you in here, buddy. Thank you very much, man, for coming through today. Blossom says Ion did the right thing, encouraging that kid to do the right thing was amazing. I will say this, while I felt some type of way that the person that was laughing at all the wrong like times and just was not like thoughtful about other people's feelings about the situation, I did like how he at least handled the situation with Mara, from the shaking of the hand, right? Because he heard the joke, he remembered it, he was smart enough to even inquire further about it in regards to putting out the hand, knowing very well what he was doing. I don't think that was an accident of him just being nice to shake her hand. I think he was clearly being nice to shake her hand, but with intentions of trying to see if his what do you call it, if what he was assuming was certainly correct. And it was, and he wound up calling the little girl out in regards to it. And I love his analogy of literally taking the little girl's bike. Like if that was me, if it was a basketball, I probably would have just like chucked it over a yard, like a fence or some shit, or over somebody's house. Go get it, kid. If that's how you want to do it. No, I'm just kidding. Ion's a much better person than I certainly am, but I really did like it. Like homeboy literally took her tire and was just gonna go home. Like I'm just gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? But I thought it was just a really great sort of analogy in regards to this is what you did and you didn't like it, right? So the idea of you doing it to somebody else, why would you certainly do that? And so I kind of appreciate that mentality. Byron says Jane's tap dancing was great. Yeah, I would definitely suggest checking out Kira Josephson's IG page. If anything, she's fantastic. Nicole says, to be fair, there are acrobatics do things like stand on their hands with shoes on. Brendan from Dino Charge does that too. He did one on Dino Charge. Yeah, Brendan Mejia does all types of things, man. Like he could turn himself into a little pretzel if he wanted to. I think he's like in a new prison movie. I expect him to like be like a prison breaker or something, you know, doing his acrobatics and gymnastics to like slip through bars, maybe. I don't know. He's going to do something crazy in those movies, though. But you're right, Nicole. There certainly are people. I've never seen anybody tap dance on their hands before, though. Find me somebody that tap dances. Yeah, and I'll definitely be on board with that for sure. Jericho says second half, but watch out for episode 11. Yeah, I got 3 more episodes left. We got 9, 10, and 11 to dive into, man, and I'm pumped. I feel like the momentum is continuing to build here. Although I will say, I feel like the past 2 episodes, I personally have not necessarily been the biggest fan of. Like this episode and then the previous one where the pumpkin face was turning people into leaves and stuff. You know, because of the fact that I had my issues with Void Knight in the previous episode, right? You know, worrying so much about people's feelings and human feelings. Like I did like the idea in this episode where, you know, they confront Void Knight and he says, you know, tell Void Queen this was never about hurting people. And I believe him when he says that, right? And that's what I said in the previous episode is like, I believe the fact that he's not out here to harm or like he really is out here just to bring the person back that he wants. The Rangers have gotten in his way and he just wants to destroy the Rangers, right? I get the idea that it's not necessarily about hurting humans. That certainly was never your intention. I totally get that. But he's definitely done his fair share of shit, you know what I'm saying, that have put people in danger. And the idea of him being sympathetic in the previous episode of like, oh my God, what am I doing? These actions are so wrong of me, bro. Where were those same thoughts the whole entire season? There's something different about avoiding confrontation with humans and other people getting involved and then having sympathy and feeling for these people. And I just felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect. Like I think you can have a Void Knight that has that mentality of this was never about hurting people, right? But, you know, I'm definitely not going to care about them. Like, I really do not care about them. I just simply care about you, Void Queen. Is kind of how I've always sort of taken it. But, again, that's just me. And I'm perfectly okay if I'm the only person that certainly felt like that. But yeah, I feel like these 2 episodes of Dino Fury have probably been my weakest of this particular season. And I've absolutely loved everything else that we've certainly have gotten so far. Let's see here. Francois says, I'm really a big fan of the dialogue for the most part. In my opinion, it makes Dino Fury as a series more unique, that it doesn't take itself extremely seriously. I like having my cake and eat it too. Well, I'm certainly glad that you definitely got it there, Francois, for sure. What's up, John? Appreciate you coming through. He says, Jane and Jay Borg don't bother me at all. I like comedy, so I like when I get a laugh. I don't like physical comedy. That breaks the mold. And I'm a big fan of Jane and Jay Borg. I think they've actually really utilized them extremely well all season long. I mean, trust me, I get the idea that it's a kid show and you got to put in that physical comedy from time to time, but their comedy really doesn't bother me too much to a certain extent. It is like you, John, when it kind of gets into that physical comedy where it doesn't become believable, it can kind of take me out of the episode briefly. But I think Jane and Jay Borg and the actors that perform them are incredible. And I think they really have done a great job with them in Dino Fury. I even love the scene where Jay Borg puts on the mask and freaks out, scares Jane. She's like, I just had to wear it. I love it. I do love these 2 characters. Video DVD says, to me, this was the weakest episode so far, but seeing how Void Queen works, it makes us wonder if she can destroy mankind before running out of sporks. Void Knight worked so hard to gather. Yeah, that's a very good question, Video DVD. Hopefully, we'll find out here by this second half. 3 more episodes for me to go, man. I honestly can't wait to see how this half certainly ends. And I'm kind of curious if it's a little bit of a cliffhanger to really kind of have us on the edge of our seats for the second half to come in. I'm really looking forward to it. Michael says, I bet this episode is better than any of the ridiculous episodes of Zenkaiger, right, Adam? It might be on par, Michael. It might be on par. Because, I mean, they've had some ridiculous episodes. Zenkaiger has had some ridiculous episodes. A lot more certainly than Dino Fury definitely has. But is this episode better than any of the ridiculous? Yeah, I mean, it's probably better than some of the ridiculous ones. Yeah, you're probably right, Michael. Byron says, I think you will love episode 9. It will make up for episode 8. I'm looking forward to the next week's episode. I truly am. I truly am. While I have felt my certain way about these 2 episodes, the strength of the episodes have come from Void Knight and Void Queen. And I do think over the past 2 episodes, at least, they've done a great job of building up that momentum for the last half of this particular first season. So I have really enjoyed them. Just me, Adam. But I hope some of these episodes that you did not like changes your perception of Dino Fury as a whole. Even the legacy seasons had dumb episodes, and they definitely have. Every season certainly has its dumb episodes. You'll never find me grading a season a 10 out of 10. I'll never do it. Can you get like an A plus? Absolutely, you can get pretty high. But no season's absolutely ever going to be perfect for me. I'm definitely going to find my issues with something in it. And so, again, there are some episodes, and it's been very limited episodes that I've honestly complained about Dino Fury. So, will they affect how I view the series overall? I mean, it kind of depends on like, are they episodes that just absolutely destroy the momentum? If I can understand them, the idea of just the occasional filler from time to time sort of thing, then I'm a little bit more lenient in regards to how I view a particular season. But even though I've had like 2 back-to-back episodes that have been a little bit lukewarm for me storyline wise, or at least as a whole, again, there are great things about that I can pick and cherry pick out of each episode that I can enjoy about it. You know what I mean? So I do my best to try and balance the negative with the positive wherever I can certainly find it. But I will always certainly try and look back as a whole and on the season and not just particular episodes. Tarek says, without saying too much, there is a twist to episode 9. Ooh, the anticipation is rising. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. But yeah, guys, thank you very much, certainly, for your thoughts in regards to Dino Fury Season 2, Episode number 8. And we certainly will be back later on this weekend to go ahead and dive into episode number 9. So I'm extremely pumped for that, guys. All right. And with that out of the way, we will go ahead and transition over to our next topic. And the next topic, guys, Power Rangers Reboot is in the news again. As one of our good friends here at A Plus Morphinominal, Mr. Jinsaku himself, over on Twitter the other day, posted some good news, bad news scenario, at least in regards to some of the sources and insiders that are certainly telling him these things. So I always say this to anybody, whether it's Illuminati, Jinsaku, whatever the case may be, until it's actually confirmed and official by Hasbro and shown to us. Definitely take these with a grain of salt, or at least understand we're just simply speculating here in regards to seeing what's going to happen. And so let's go ahead and dive into this news, shall we? I mean, listen, there have been certain things that Illuminati has put out, some things that Jinsaku is certainly lining up that he's saying that's matching up with things that we've seen in before. He says, may I say your voice is a little lower when I go live in the evening, says Michael. Am I kind of low for you guys? Is your son sleeping already? Yeah, he's sleeping already. He's sleeping already. If I'm too low for you guys, though, please go ahead and certainly let me know. Maybe I was just a little bit of a ways from my microphone. Sometimes the further I go away, it becomes harder to kind of hear me. You know what I mean? So maybe that could have certainly have been it. But this week, guys, let's go ahead and dive straight into what it is that Jinsaku is certainly saying here this week, and kind of pick in between the lines and see exactly everything that is being said here. So let's go ahead and pull this up, and we'll definitely give you guys our thoughts. Good old Jinsaku. We got a bit of a thread from him here. He goes on to say, well, on April 30th, he put, I got good news and bad news for the Power Rangers. Which one y'all want first? He went bad news first. He says, I've been informed that Power Rangers is not a priority for the new CEO. In fact, he's doubling down on other properties, Transformers, Dungeons. So it'll be a small hiatus after episode or after season 30. But he does say that the good news is that the new CEO wants it in theaters, so it may or may not happen, in the sense of it may or it may not necessarily go to the theaters. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this. If anything, let's deal with the elephant in the room, and that is, in fact, the bad. All right. Where'd my notes go? Did I bring it up? Okay. So the new CEO that he's referring to, and if you guys have been following us for a while, I can't even remember what episode it certainly was that we talked about this, but we have a new CEO by the name of Chris Cox. Unfortunately, a couple of months ago, we wind up losing Mr. Brian Goldner himself, the CEO of Hasbro. And to say the idea of having to fill his shoes was probably going to be difficult for anybody to have to step into, just considering how popular Brian Goldner was, the impact that he had on Hasbro, just the entertainment side of things in general, the connections that this man knew, people that he knew and things like that. Brian Goldner was definitely a fan favorite by many, so much so that they actually even honored him over at the Oscars in their in memoriam segment that they do every year. Brian Goldner actually had a pretty good piece set aside for him, honestly. And so with him gone, a new CEO steps in. And we talked about this back on January 8th. I did manage to go ahead and find his picture in the thumbnail. But we talked a little bit about Chris Cox and him coming on board. And, one of the things that we mentioned, and we should reiterate here, anytime that you have a new CEO that comes in, there's always going to be a shakeup of some type, right? A perfect example, you can easily see that happened when we got the Fox and Disney merger, right? You can see that currently happening with the Warner Brothers and Discovery merger, a new CEO coming in, some things getting canceled, some things getting pushed back, right? Putting people in, putting new people in places of power. Things can change behind the scenes when you have a new CEO, because ideologies are different, right? Personalities are certainly different. And so while I don't necessarily think Chris Cox is all of a sudden gonna stop doing all film and entertainment and say, screw this entertainment one stuff, we're just gonna do whatever I want to do. I don't see Chris Cox being that type of person, but he certainly has things that he wants to do as CEO that maybe didn't necessarily line up with everything that Brian Goldner certainly had planned. Him now being in that position of power, he clearly gets the opportunity to make those brand new decisions. And so when we get this type of news from Jin here saying bad news, I've been informed that PR is not a priority for the new CEO. In fact, he's doubling down on other properties like Transformers and Dungeons, so it might be a small hiatus after season 30. This doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's a little bit of a bummer. Trust me, it is a little bit of a bummer to hear, but it unfortunately doesn't surprise me in the sense that it is a new CEO. Now, the idea and the concept of Power Rangers not being, say, a priority, I've seen some people kind of take that in the sense of like, oh, I guess they just don't care about Power Rangers, right? Or, oh, that's being canceled. Oh, that's being thrown out. Sucks to be us now, right? Power Ranger fans, got to sit and wait a little bit longer. And I know when it comes to Power Ranger fans, we're not the most patient, but not a priority doesn't mean we don't like what we have. I don't think not a priority also doesn't mean we got to start over. We don't know what to do with this sort of thing. Not a priority just means, or at least when I think of it, especially when they start bringing up things like Transformers and Dungeons and Dragons, this feels to me in the sense of, you know what, we have other things that we're certainly working on as of right now. We're not trying to rush what we're certainly working on when it comes to Power Rangers. Because in case you guys are not familiar, as of right now, Paramount, along with Hasbro, they have 2 new movies coming out within the next year. You've got Transformers Rise of the Beast that's set to go ahead and drop in June of next year. And then you've got Dungeons and Dragons movie that's set to go ahead and drop in March of next year of 2023. So you've got 2 big blockbuster movies that you need to make sure are certainly going to be quite successful. I think you also have to take into account the Snake Eyes movie that Hasbro and Paramount tried to do a couple months back. Didn't do really great at the box office whatsoever. It just crapped its pants, unfortunately, and didn't necessarily get the reactions or the reviews or the money financially that Hasbro certainly wanted to. We talked about this before in the sense that Joe Declemire on the Illuminati sometime last year might have even mentioned the idea that they were thinking about taking a step back to rework things and see how things will play out because of what happened with Snake Eyes. So there's a part of me that kind of feels that this is still part of the momentum. Granted, Michael Lombardo did say over the summer last year or like late fall that we would be getting more news soon. We haven't as of yet. So clearly, yes, maybe priorities certainly have changed. But when you think about the idea that G.I. Joe crapped its pants, and now you've got Transformers and Dungeons of Dragons. Mind you, Dungeons of Dragons is not like it's coming off of a huge blockbuster movie itself, right? So you got to make it work. And even though Bumblebee certainly was a successful film, Transformers Rise of the Beast definitely feels like it's taking it even further. You need to make sure that that movie is successful also. So when I look at it that way, the idea of them saying, you know what, Power Rangers is not that much of a priority for us right now, I get it. I get it. And also when it comes to Chris Cox as a CEO, for those of you who don't remember the conversation we had back in January when we talked about this guy, he's a Dungeons and Dragons type of guy. He's the former president and CEO of Wizards of the Coast. So the idea of him pushing these board games, the idea of these strategic tabletop games makes sense that he would want to push something like a Dungeons and Dragons really kind of makes sense to me because that feels like that's his baby. You know what I mean? That feels like that's his baby. So they need a win. They need a win as much as they possibly can. And I'll even pull up this article here to showcase just the emphasis of what they're doing here with Dungeons and Dragons. It says Hasbro rolls the dice on Dungeons and Dragons expansion in film, TV, and games. The newly installed CEO, Chris Cox, told analysts the toy giant aims to become an overall gaming powerhouse amid a proxy battle with Alta Fox Capital Management. This is a guy that has come from the gaming side of things, the Wizards of the Coast side of things. So he is going to do his best to certainly push forward something like a Dungeons and Dragons. So I think, listen, Transformers is expanding. It's becoming bigger. They still have plans for Power Rangers. They're literally doing a cinematic universe, creating movies, television series, kids programming, and animated series. And it does seem like they're certainly putting that same level of attention and detail to Dungeons and Dragons with their expansion. But I think with the fact of Dungeons and Dragons set to be here in less than a year, that's got to be your main priority in regards to pushing things forward, promoting, marketing to get the hype level for Dungeons and Dragons certainly rolling. Whereas when it comes to Power Rangers, again, if you're creating a huge cinematic universe, you got to make sure you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed to make sure that you're presenting and putting certainly your best foot forward. So when I think of this, I don't think that they are by any stretch of the imagination forgetting about Power Rangers so much as a new CEO just has a love for Dungeons and Dragons and what he does and certainly wants to go ahead and push that forward. Again, when you've got two big movies coming, those should be your focus while you continue to create behind the scenes a Power Ranger universe that maybe we wind up getting in, say, 2024 or whatever the case may be, right? Don't forget, guys, we still also have the second half of Dino Fury that's going to be dropping this year. We also have the 30th anniversary special that Hasbro is clearly putting together, putting things as far as like formulaic in regards to how Power Rangers has always been filmed, doing something unique, doing something different. And mind you, we also just recently got a report from Hasbro from their first quarter call, saying that when it comes to Power Rangers, revenue is up in its first quarter. The first 11 episodes of season 2 of Dino Fury live action TV season premiered in select markets around the world. The show ranked among the top 10 most watched kids shows on Netflix in the markets it launched. I think and it was in that position for 2 consecutive weeks after it wind up launching. And then it says compelling new content supported with new kid and fan focused product. So Power Rangers is doing good for them. They have no reason whatsoever to just completely forget about Power Rangers. And even earlier on in the Hasbro report that we wind up getting, let me see if I can go ahead and pull this up for you guys too. In that same report, it did go ahead and say that where'd it go? Family brand revenues were up 23%, driven by the multi-title renewal with Netflix. So My Little Pony, Transformers, and Power Ranger franchises, as well as revenue from delivery of Transformers. So their family brands are up already because of the deals that Netflix is certainly giving to them. I am kind of curious as to exactly how much that deal is with Netflix for this cinematic universe. Talk about perfect timing too, especially when it comes to Netflix, who literally just lost about $45 billion in one day when their market and stock wind up crashing because of the fact that they lost like 200,000 subscribers within the past year. Netflix got kicked in the ass this year. So I think the fact that Power Rangers was able to make this deal before that happened, that would have worried me. That certainly would have probably worried me a lot more than what this certainly is. So I don't see this as they're forgetting about Power Rangers so much as it is the sense of we've got 2 big movies that are certainly coming out. That's where our attention should be, where we continue to still do and create and build our brands, because clearly Power Rangers is working with what we're doing with it in the area in which it's being pushed out right now. So that's positive momentum on Power Rangers side. And so I fully expect Michael Lombardo, Jonathan Entwistle, Brian Edward Hill, if he's still the writer of this project, to still be working and certainly putting this together. But it does give them the time and the opportunity that they certainly need when you've got the 30th anniversary certainly still coming as a buffer. Could the hiatus and there be a more significant time after that? Who certainly knows? I mean, I think the 30th anniversary will probably be, I will say this, I wonder if the 30th anniversary it'll definitely happen in 2023. And there's something that tells me maybe the Jonathan Entwistle stuff will finally drop in 2024. But I do also wonder if maybe in between all of that, if maybe that good old David Yost Quantum Continuum pops up somewhere. I am kind of curious. David did recently post something also that I found pretty interesting. I can't remember where I found it at, though. I want to say it was on his Instagram. Let me see if I can go to Instagram real quick and see if I could find his post, because I thought he had like what looked to be, I'm pretty sure it was Instagram. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. Go to David Yost's page. I can't remember if it was a story that he did or if it might have been a story that he did. So it may not be. Yeah, I don't see it in his. Damn it. I hope he didn't erase the story. Did I comment on it? I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find this, but I don't think it's going to pull it up for me. But it looked like he had a photo of what looked to be several different colored notebooks. And in each notebook, it had a different line. See, it won't let me. It says I replied to his story, but it's not populating his story anymore. I says, are those notebooks for your Quantum Continuum script? Is what I asked him, but he never got back to me. So he is kind of continuing to tease the idea of creating something or having something up his sleeve. Each notebook definitely had the Power Ranger colors attached to it. So I was like, are these your script books, or what is it that I'm certainly looking at? So I do find that interesting. So when they say not a priority, guys, I'm not worried. I think if anything, this is just going to ask us as Power Ranger fans to do something that I think as Power Ranger fans, we're not really good at, and that's patience and waiting. If there's people worried, I totally get it. You know, should there be some sense of worry? Probably. I'm not going to sit here and say everything is sunshine and rainbows, because again, anytime that you do have a new CEO, is he going to follow the brand blueprint that was kind of set before him, or is he going to make alternate routes? You know what I mean? I think there's always maybe that 10% chance or whatever that percentage chance is that the CEO takes it in a different direction. But nothing that's happened so far tells me that they don't care about Power Rangers. You clearly do when you spend $512 million, even though somebody else spent that $512 million, right? I think they're probably so far along in regards to the development and stuff. They've got the money from Netflix already to develop this stuff. This is going to happen. It is just going to be a case of patience and waiting a little bit longer until they're ready to certainly reveal what they are ready to reveal. I know as fans, we can be impatient. Sometimes some of us can be a little bit rude and feel a little entitled to demanding and wanting, and we deserve this. Let's watch the words that we use, okay? Let's exercise some patience, understanding, because it's not as simple as, hey, I just wrote this story, boom, put it on somebody's paper, and all of a sudden it's let's start filming. You know what I mean? So it's a business, right? Not show friends, it's show business. And so things are unfortunately going to take some time. Now, to the second aspect of Jinsaku's comments here, in regards to the good news is, though, that the new CEO wants it in theaters, so it may not happen. Is it, though? Is that good news? Is that good news? Listen, I will say this. You know, I've been the cheerleader for like the longest time in regards to Power Rangers. You need to release your movie in Netflix or on streaming services. Avoid the theater if you certainly can. But listen, we do live in a world these days now where streaming services sometimes will drop their movie and then we'll also have maybe say a limited release in theaters. Because of the fact that Netflix has already paid for Power Rangers, I expect, if anything, it will still come on Netflix. Whether or not it will have a limited run in theaters, that we will certainly have to see. I don't know how Netflix would feel like, hey, we paid you for this movie to air here. You can't just take it from us and just put it in theaters. So, if anything, I think that's one of the reasons why he says the CEO wants it in theaters. So it may or may not happen. I guess it's probably, if anything, might be dependent on what happens with Netflix. Because listen, Army of the Dead did that, I believe. I think they released it on Netflix, but a limited time in theaters. I think they also did that with The Irishman, if I'm not mistaken, also on Netflix. So again, Netflix has already paid for this movie and production. So if anything, the idea of putting the movie in theaters would probably just maybe be extra income that I would be perfectly okay with, even if it doesn't necessarily do really well at the box office at that time, because it is in theaters and in Netflix. Again, remember, Netflix has already forked over the money for this movie to certainly be made. So they're in good hands there. Anything box office wise, I think would probably just be extra for them. So we'll see how that winds up playing out. For me, my biggest concern and worry was, please just don't take it off of Netflix as far as the movie premiering. The idea of putting this Power Ranger movie in the theaters, there's a part of me as of right now in 2022 that still feels some type of way about it. Don't get me wrong, the trajectory of the box office is going in a much more positive way than where it was in the pandemic 2 years ago. The movies that seemingly are succeeding in the theaters right now are big blockbuster type level movies that are worthy of seeing on the big screen. And Power Rangers is very much worthy of seeing on the big screen. But we have to also deal with reality in the sense that we did just recently put a Power Rangers movie in theaters in 2017, and it did not do very well whatsoever. So the idea of expecting, hey, let's put another Power Ranger movie in theaters and expecting a different result, it's a little bit insane. It's a really risky situation, if you ask me. But listen, if it comes to, say, 2024, we've had 7 years then technically to wash out the previous Power Ranger movie out of our mouth and get ready for a brand new appetizing dish of Power Rangers. If that's the case, I am curious if 7 years apart from one movie to the next is enough to convince people you should come out this time, though. This time, you should come out. I just don't know. So I think they're on the right track with keeping this stuff in Netflix. But if the new CEO wants it in theaters, keep it on Netflix and have it as a limited time in theaters. I would be completely on board with that, because I would love to see Power Rangers on the big screen again and not necessarily have to worry about depending on the box office for us to get more of it. So some interesting news from Jinsaku here. We'll see how this certainly all plays out, right? I don't know his source. I don't know his insiders and things like that, but I do trust the man in regards to Jin. And what I will always say is, while people certainly may have sources, and this will go for the Illuminati also, it is the movie industry. And things do change, and sometimes on a dime, as you can clearly see by some of the now words that are being used, the trajectory and stuff, maybe slowing down just a little bit more, right? It's all ebbs and flows when it comes to this kind of industry. So I think if they're flexible in that sense, us as viewers and as consumers should be flexible also in that regards. And just let these people try and put together the movie that we hopefully will get and they feel that we certainly deserve. And hopefully it's absolutely amazing. I'm definitely going to keep my fingers crossed for sure. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. What did you guys think about the Jinsaku information here in regards to his sources saying that it's not quite a priority for the CEO? Does that make you worried? It doesn't make me worried because I see two big tentpole films you need to have succeed, because if not, that puts a lot of things in jeopardy for Hasbro. So, you know, I get the attention and the focus change for sure, especially based off of where the CEO has come from before. But don't misunderstand that of just because focus has changed, that's not being worked on or cared for, because they still have people behind the scenes that definitely have to do these, you know, quality checks, look over your stuff. I don't even know how many drafts they've probably written for the movie already at this particular point in time, but I'm pretty sure that there are other people behind the scenes that are making the Power Ranger train certainly work and move ahead. And it will move at the pace in which Hasbro certainly feels is necessary. 2023 doesn't seem like a year for Power Rangers movie-wise. That seems like a year for Transformers and Dungeons and Dragons. So if we see more information in regards to that within the next year or so, you definitely understand why. But trust me when I say, when Power Rangers is ready to be revealed and we have a release date, the same amount of effort that's being given to Transformers along with Dungeons and Dragons will certainly be there for Power Rangers. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it certainly will be also. But I'm not worried, guys, and I don't think you should certainly be either. Take it as you certainly will. But I am kind of curious to know your guys' thoughts in regards to it. So go ahead and let me know your thoughts, guys. And let's see what else you are all saying here today. Let me go past some of these Dino Fury comments real quick, because I'm sure you guys probably got some thoughts in regards to everything that's going on right now. JB says, Wes says, I'm kind of now over the talk about the future of Power Rangers. It seems kind of bleak. I guess it just depends on your perspective, man. You know, I think it just depends on your perspective. And I think also the words and that people use and how we kind of decipher them and sort of break them down. I'm kind of hoping that maybe understanding who the new CEO is, understanding the movies that are coming out rather recently, in regards to that and their importance, as to why maybe Power Rangers as of right now, because it's still in very much pre-production, that there are other bigger fish to fry at the moment. And I don't think that should make it bleak, because I mean the MCU does the same thing, right? They'll plan things out like years in advance, and sometimes we don't hear anything about them for quite some time, right? So yeah, man, it just depends. It just depends. But I guess it just depends on your point of view and how you view things, or where your mindset is at in regards to like how you decipher the words. Tarek says that the movie does eventually go to theaters, box office and critical reviews are going to be quite interesting, despite if Jonathan Entwistle vision pays off. That's why I don't want it in theaters. If it's going to be in theaters, I'm hoping that it's also on Netflix. Because again, we just had a Power Ranger movie in theater. It didn't work out. Does the box office look great right now? Absolutely, man. We're dropping Marvel movies, DC movies, right? Like they're making buku money right now. Power Rangers is not that property. It's not that property. This movie unfortunately failed at the box office. It doesn't need to be back in the box office anytime soon. Again, maybe you can give me the benefit of the doubt that maybe 7 years is enough distance between films, but I still think that's super risky. And I feel like you're shooting yourself in the foot in regards to what it is that you want to create. And so again, even though we have a Netflix deal in place that's done, I am expecting this movie to still drop on Netflix. And if the CEO wants it in theaters so badly, I'm hoping he allows it to be in theaters while it's on Netflix. Kurt says, am I an asshole for saying I'm more interested in the 30th anniversary and not the reboot universe? Absolutely not. The 30th anniversary is literally right around the corner. The reboot universe is so filled with question marks right now and mystery that I would not be surprised if there are a lot of other people's main interest and being on the 30th anniversary as of right now. But I can almost guarantee you, Kurt, and it may not necessarily be you, but once we start getting more Power Ranger news, trust me when I say there will be a lot more interest on the reboot universe that we're certainly going to be getting. But I think because so it doesn't make you sound like an asshole, Kurt. So don't worry about that. Jericho, what's up, Jericho? He says, so should I be worried that Hasbro doesn't prioritize Power Rangers? They already don't with the toys. I think Hasbro is in a very interesting predicament right now where they're very much in the middle of a transition. And when you're in the middle of a transition, it does make me wonder if some things will unfortunately fall by the wayside or may not necessarily get as much attention as it certainly used to. Now, again, I don't collect toys like that, so I don't know how the toy industry works or producing toys for television shows or movies. I don't really know how all that works. But I think it's also trying to figure, I think Hasbro is also trying to figure out itself in regards to how it wants to represent itself for Power Rangers as a toy company. Are they still going to focus on MMPR stuff? Are we still going to be focusing on the past franchises, even though we're at the point where we're getting ready to reboot? So should we kind of stop and slow down production on the things that we've started doing already and then start kind of prepping for toys for the movie and designs and concept art for the things that we want to certainly come out, right? So like, I feel like they're in such a weird predicament right now of still having to satisfy fans of the past and of what's to come. And this transition kind of has them like all over the place right now. So I think if you're a toy fan, maybe you should worry about toys. Entertainment wise, though, as far as TV and movies, though, I wouldn't be worried about it. I wouldn't be worried about it. Thank you, the A Games 10. Good old A Games. The A Games 10 in the house. Thank you very much, man, for certainly coming through today. Let me see. Francois says, I'm so apprehensive with the 30th anniversary. I hope David Yost and Hasbro can do it right this time that Saban never couldn't. Well, I will say this, whether they do it right or not, I have no idea, but they're taking the first steps to doing it. That's for sure. The whole idea of giving us longer episodes, shorter amount of episodes, 4 to 5 weeks worth of filming, whatever we're getting is definitely going to be feeling rather unique and new. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't worry about that, or at least I'm certainly not at this point. Robert, what's up, Robert? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. He says, hey, first time watching a stream on this channel. Well, we appreciate you and welcome to the family, my guy. Let's see here. Jackson Peterson, he says, sorry, but who the heck is Michael Lombardo? I only know of the main guy, Jonathan. Michael Lombardo right now, he is currently working for Entertainment One. He previously came over from HBO, believe it or not. Hold on a second, Lombardo. I'm trying to remember what the title is that he has since he came on board. He's had several, I feel like. HBO vet Michael Lombardo joins Entertainment One. Former HBO president of programming Michael Lombardo joined Entertainment One. He is expected to officially board the company, which he has. The television veteran is consulting on ongoing and new project development across all areas of scripted and unscripted television internationally. So any new products that are being created by Entertainment One have to sort of be greenlit and looked over by Mike Lombardo. It says he spent 33 years at HBO. He led the team responsible for major series like Veep, Game of Thrones, Silicon Valley, Girls, True Detective, True Blood, Boardwalk Empire, and a bunch of other stuff. It says Entertainment One has been without a head of TV for a while. And so they wind up sort of bringing him in. So he definitely will be the gentleman that I'm assuming people will either pitch ideas to him, give him some ideas and concepts, and he's the gentleman that will greenlight whether or not he thinks it's good enough to go ahead and produce and spend money towards. So I think Michael Lombardo, pretty important figure when it comes to Entertainment One. And the idea of, hey, any Power Ranger content that might be new, he's going to be the one to give the thumbs up or thumbs down. Byron says, what if the reboot gets pushed back to 2024? I'm expecting that. I'm expecting a 2024 reboot as of right now. I think if anything, maybe by the middle of summertime, if we haven't heard any Power Ranger news, then I fully expect 2024 release date. I mean, because you're talking about, if the Transformers movie is literally in a year. It's about June of 2023. That movie's already filmed and wrapped, and it's been in post-production this entire time. So, the idea of getting a Power Ranger movie by, say, December of 2023 sounds a little bit of a far-fetched for me in regards to the months that it's going to take to not only film, but then the months in regards to pre-production also. So I am expecting like a 2024 time. Good old Gamer Force. What's up, Gamers Force? Appreciate you coming through today. Coder Nerd says it's game over for the PR reboot. Nah, I don't believe that whatsoever. I'm sorry that your mind has definitely gone there, and you're a little bit bummed about this news and feeling kind of negative about it. But I don't, man. I don't. Not a priority doesn't mean we don't care about it. Not a priority, especially in hindsight, when you see the two movies that are coming out, and you also take into account their last movie, G.I. Joe, bombed. I think if anything, I definitely want them to certainly take their time with it. Could they all of a sudden one day say, you know what? The idea you spent $512 million, you have a plan. Revenue is up. Family revenue is up when it comes to Power Rangers. Everything is pointing in the upward trajectory for Power Rangers. The idea of somebody just saying it's not a priority, I know that scares people. The term scares people. But I think we should look at everything as a whole and not just based off of one sentence. I think there's a lot more there than just one sentence. All right, guys. I think with that, I think we will move on to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got left? We got two more topics left. Yeah, two more topics left, and then we'll dive into your live viewer questions here real quick. The next topic we will go ahead and break down for you guys today as we transition from Power Rangers Reboot. We actually may make a U-turn and go back to Power Rangers Dino Fury here. As of recently, one of the stunt directors actually sat down with Gizmodo and had a fantastic interview talking about some Ranger stunts, how it all worked out, his career. It says a Power Ranger stunt artist reflects on nearly 30 years of Mighty Morphin action. Again, this is from Gizmodo. I just put in Gizmodo Dino Fury, and this was the first article that came up. I actually had already seen this floating over on Twitter. And so I want to go ahead and open this up for you guys and dive a little bit into this world of stunt directing. So let me go ahead and pull this up here for you guys. This stunt actor, this is actually, or the director is Akihiro Yuji Noguchi. Good old Yuji certainly coming through for this interview. It says Power Rangers has spent the best part of 3 decades encouraging kids to definitely not try the cool things they were seen playing out as a spandex-clad super team faced off against Rita Repulsa and her minions at home. That backflipping, explosion-framed action was brought to life by a dedicated team of stunt artists. Nearly 30 years on, one of them is still keeping the Ranger spirit alive, and that is, in fact, Yuji Noguchi. He has been working on Power Rangers almost since the very beginning, coming on board for the 2nd season of the show as early 90s, as the Ranger Mania saw Saban scramble to capitalize on sudden hit series. But that also meant even more stunt work. And from there, Noguchi and his own team of stunt artists saw an opportunity to get on board. All these years later, Power Rangers is still going on as is Super Sentai. And although their futures together might seemingly be on the cusp of some major evolutions, Noguchi's relationship with Power Rangers is still as strong as ever with its current season in Dino Fury. So yeah, man, he had the opportunity to sit down with them a little bit and talk. I'm not going to go ahead and go over this whole entire thing with you guys, but I would recommend you certainly check it out for yourselves. But some interesting aspects I wanted to go ahead and bring up. It does say here, how did you come on board with working with Power Rangers and the stunt team? He says back in '92, he joined his colleagues, Tatsuro Koike, along with Koichi Sakamoto. And I think we all know Koichi for sure, as a hero stunt double in a film called Guyver Dark Hero, which was shot in Los Angeles. Love that movie, by the way. It was part of the superhero genre, and it was a work that plays in a mask and a suit like the Power Rangers. It became a very highly acclaimed work in the action industry at the time. Taking this movie as an opportunity, Tatsuro, Koichi, and I furthered our careers and began our stunt team, Alpha Stunts. Eventually, Power Rangers began airing and became a very popular program throughout the states. It was so popular that 405 freeway was the heavy traffic due to audiences going to see the Power Rangers live show at Universal's studios. We received an offer to participate in Power Rangers when we were active in Japan, and due to their success, audiences knew about their existence of Alpha Stunts, and the production side decided to go ahead and bring in his stunt team. He also says, you're doing more choreography fight work on the show. You're also training these casts for the physical shoot. When you're beginning work on a new series of Power Rangers and a new cast, how do you start planning to train the oncoming actors? And he says, we've been teaching actors in many series so far. In that process, and an efficient action training manual was born naturally. Rather than planning training for each season, the focus is on developing the skills and abilities to respond to any choreography in a short amount of time. Based on the manual we built for the series, we learn the actor's strengths and weaknesses and adjust the choreography and camera angle accordingly to create a situation where the actors can easily perform. Camera angles are great, man. It's all about them angles, making somebody look even better than what they certainly do. But I think that's cool. The fact that he's been doing this for such a long time that he now literally has a training manual, and he's kind of gotten the idea of generalities that you want to kind of teach, and sort of instead of having to rely on somebody learning a martial arts or whatever the case certainly might be. So generalities that certainly might work for their level of athleticism. And once you start putting in their actor strengths and their weaknesses and camera angles and choreography, it kind of comes across extremely well. And I've been really impressed with some of the civilian fights that we do. Like, you can see the actors truly embrace what Yuji and the others are certainly doing there. Let's see here. Do you want to keep things cohesive or try and experiment with different styles and techniques for each character and team? He says, compared to Sentai, I feel that Power Rangers had more restrictions on action content. For example, getting hit in the face, strangling, trampling on a fallen enemy, etc. These are common scenes in Sentai shows, but are seen as less appropriate in Power Rangers. When we watched the Sentai footage that was going to be used in Power Rangers, we ended up having to reshoot a lot. At that time, it took us a while to reshoot each shot. So to be honest, we found the regulation pretty annoying. However, considering the frame of children's programs, we thought it was a sensible rule. So we also thought about what to do to make the shot even cooler. For example, reshooting a facial hit. Normally, you can take a shot that hits the belly or avoid it by ducking, but while we hit the face, we avoid it with somersaults or use wires to avoid it in a flashier manner. We created new techniques while making good use of regulations. Even now, when there are regulations or problems, I try to evolve by changing my way of thinking. I love that shit. I love that. Since Power Rangers involves a team, it is necessary to make a sense of unity to the action, but it is not important to match everyone's action style to fight work. In the action scenes, you should do what you are good at and focus on what you want to challenge. The more you try to unify, the less individual the movement will be. Power Rangers and Sentai shows have scenes where teams pose together instead, because there are times when everyone is fighting with a lot of individuality. When they get together and make a Sentai pose, the sense of unity as a team and the coolness of the heroes are further emphasized. Let's see here. What other questions could we dive into? What would you say was the biggest change to how the show series approaches stunt work in your time on the franchise? He says moving to shooting location in New Zealand affected the stunts. American members of the stunt team have been with us for years, and we were now hiring New Zealand stuntmen who aren't familiar with Sentai and Power Rangers, as which naturally affects the quality of the action. We compensated with heavier use of wire work, which is interesting. I think we can kind of see that in the recent seasons. Which was quite effective at the time, but now New Zealand stuntmen are mixed with Japanese stunt performers. However, at first, after the move, most of the action in front of the camera was performed by Japanese stunt artists. New Zealand stuntmen weren't used to that fight style, but they began to participate in the Japanese team's action style and improved their comfortability in that regard. So they definitely came aboard also. He goes on and on and on. So yeah, I would recommend. You know what? I gotta dive into this last one, because the reason why I want to dive into this last one is I'm a big fan of the Oscars and I love watching movie making. And one of the things about the Oscars that I've always asked for, awards for stunts or stunt men and women, how they would decipher what's the best stunt, that I don't know. Like, I don't know what the criteria is for that would certainly be. But I find this question interesting. He says, there's been a lot of all sorts of discussion recently about the industry across film and TV not giving stunt work the credit it's due. For example, award categories at the Oscars or other technical awards. As a professional in the field, what do you hope audiences, Power Ranger fans or otherwise, take from seeing the sort of work you've done over the years? Great question, man. There is no doubt that awards will motivate individuals in the field. I think it's very valuable because it can be a guide for the success of the younger generation who are aiming for that profession, not just those already involved. I just want the industry to have more support for Power Rangers as a whole. Power Rangers has been a popular show for many years, but it's a young person show, so it's not talked about as much, which is a shame. I want viewers and fans to enjoy the program as before, and parents to watch it with their children. Your children will learn that there are other professions in the process of growth. It's a difficult world, but if you have a strong feeling, your wish will surely come true. If your child says they're aiming to be a stunt performer, please don't object. Listen to their thoughts. I love it, man. Yo, Yuji, I'm gonna be a stunt man one day. No, maybe my son will be, and follow in your footsteps, Yuji. It's a very dangerous, situation and job to certainly be in, and more props to them, man, each and every day that they do this type of stuff. But I love what he had to say. Power Rangers is a shame that it doesn't get as much recognition as it does or talked about, just because of the fact that it is a kid show, and unfortunately, after so many years of being out of mainstream, it has become a joke, and I think Hasbro and them understand that, and they're trying to do their part now to get rid of that stigma as best as it can, because I don't think you're going to continue to get rid of that stigma in the presentation format that it's in as of right now. So listen, I will say this, Yuji and them, I hope that they continue to work on whether it be Super Sentai or Power Rangers. I've been really impressed with a lot of their work over the past couple of seasons for sure. Hella impressed, especially here when it comes to Dino Fury, and to be able to change up those fighting styles and those techniques each season just blows my mind at the level of talent that Yuji and the other directors certainly have, and the actors have for these particular roles. So regardless of what the future for Power Ranger holds, I hope that Yuji and his team continue to be utilized in some way or another, whether that be the kids programming side of things, or if Jonathan Entwistle certainly wants to bring them into, I would be completely on board with that. They've done marvelous work, and I would love to see them continue to do so. So, guys, again, if you want to go ahead and check out this article in full and interview, again, it's over at gizmodo.com. That's Giz moto.com. Yeah, man, check out their Power Ranger content whenever you get a chance. All right, guys, so that's out of the way, and I got one more topic, and we're going to transition into good old Donbrothers this time, as new magazine scans have recently come out. Now, I personally, listen, before we get into this, I don't know all the details about this. This is Mr. I'm going to call him Mr. because he's so swagged out. He looks fantastic. Mr. I was about to say, I'm about to even call him the wrong name already. Hold on. Let me pull it up because this is a mouthful here. This is a damn mouthful. Don OniTaiJin. Is that how you pronounce it? Don OniTaiJin. We finally get a full reveal, man. This is going to be one of the main mechs where everybody's going to be coming together. I'm assuming, if anything, this is in fact the idea of our Donbrothers in their robo forms that we've talked about before. We have highlighted previous magazine scans showcasing our Donbrothers sort of in their power-ups here, their robo forms, where it seems as though they're literally kind of, when I think of them turning into these robots and combining to make this gigantic Zord, I kind of think of like the Super Two Kaiser, Super Zen Kaiser, also how they kind of both transformed in physical forms into a robot. That's kind of what I feel like they're doing here when it comes to the Donbrothers idea in the form of a power up for their robo forms. So we go from this to this, and boy, does this look good. I absolutely love the look of this design. This is going to be probably the best look that you guys get until it is in fact revealed. Here is in fact the box set for it also, because they are in fact making a toy out of this. And this is, I believe, the first, and I think we'd mentioned this last week or the previous week, the first like articulated Zord robot that they've sort of created. I read a story somewhere that somebody's like 4-year-old kid was like having a fit or something, or didn't kind of appreciate the way that the previous Zords were formed. You know, the idea of kids like to be able to move and bend and, you know, turn body parts and stuff on their figures and really play with them. And it seems like this probably is going to be the most articulate sort of Zord that, or mecha, I should say, that we've ever had when it comes to the toy line of things. So the Don OniTaiJin is looking pretty fantastic, if you ask me, and that's it in toy form. We also get the opportunity to see more forms of the robo forms here, as we got some of the main characters highlighted. Again, these are all magazine scans, so they don't necessarily come out necessarily the greatest, but you do get a little bit of a sense. I am kind of curious to know what you guys think of Don Momotaro's form. Here's another great picture here where you get to see, I love Oni's sister's form though, especially with that big ass club that she's got. Saru Brothers looks pretty interesting to me also. I'm actually a really big fan of both their forms. This is the OniTaiJin all together. Here's them with the group below them. Also some great scans that we have here. Get an opportunity to see different angles of it, also maybe different weapons that they're going to be utilizing. I love like the helmets of Inu brother along with the Oni sister on the legs. Looks like at the kneecaps. I believe is that a pheasant head? Is that the Kiji brothers head, like on the shoulder, on the right shoulder? Yeah, and it looks like Saru brothers head is on the left also. That's a pretty fun looking design, honestly. I will be interested to kind of, well, I was gonna say there's a part of me that says I will be interested to see how it moves in live action, but there's a part of me that thinks that we're probably still gonna stick with the CGI worlds that we've gotten all season long. That's been absolutely fantastic. So and when you are creating a Zord battle in that CGI world and you see all the movement and just how crisp and fluid it certainly looks, I can understand the idea of wanting to make sure that any of your mechas going forward have that level of articulation to really encapsulate what people are seeing on television. Homeboy's got himself his own ship here also. Sailing the seven seas. I'm trying to figure out what is that in the bottom left-hand corner. It looks as though the Don OniTaiJin is facing off against somebody else with a massive sword. I have no idea who they're confronting in there, though. Here's another shot here for you guys. There's a lot of scans. This one is a more toy instead of actual image of from the show. This one is very much more toys. I think the next one's going to be more toys too. Yeah, and this page also gives you a better look too at the toys for the Don brothers in regards to these robo forms when you're putting them together to go ahead and formulate the Don OniTaiJin. And then we actually have some scans for the characters themselves in regards to maybe some things that are going to be coming up for this next half of the season. We do get to see the avatar change up here also. Looks like he's going to be turning into Tyra Migo. I believe he might have already turned into this past week. Also, what else we got here? I am fascinated by this particular page specifically for the villain on the left-hand side in the blue and white at the bottom. The fact that Homeboy is literally holding somebody up by their neck, that feels very Darth Vader-ish to me. But his presence alone and his costume design makes me think he's a formidable villain, like somebody that will have an impact in this season, whether or not he's in charge of the Cerebrains that we see above him, or if this is somebody else entirely, who definitely knows. But his costume design definitely grabs my attention. And then I also wanted to do this page too, because I did find it interesting in here. I am wondering what's upcoming, because I'm so fascinated with this point system that the Don Brothers has created. And if you look at the very top up here, or top over here next to Jin, it's that graph that we saw that Kaido was looking at, and you get the opportunity to see the different points here. I don't remember Oni's sisters being that high, so I am kind of curious as to, like, clearly Kiji has used his points. We've clearly have seen that. Why Inu and Saru brother haven't accumulated more, I don't know. Maybe they have and they've used them already. But the fact of Oni's sister having all that level of luck on her side, that does certainly fascinate me. And I am kind of curious to know what's going to happen the remainder of this season for her to acquire all those points, because I don't believe she had those points last time we saw her. Sorry, I've got my cats in the room. I thought she was outside of the room. And now I'm like, are you trying to get out? Do I got to get up from my live stream to open the damn door for you? But yeah, guys, man, I'm actually really looking forward to this Don OniTaiJin Zord. I could absolutely be butchering the name of it. If I am, I apologize. But this looks good, man. I can't wait to certainly see it. I've been hella impressed with what we've gotten so far when it comes to Don Brothers, and I don't expect that to disappoint me either. But yeah, man, especially this past week. Oh my God. Feel free to ask questions about Don Brothers in the live chat if you guys want from time to time. But this past week's episode of Kiji Brother and the reveal there for him, and just seeing his path has me very worried about his character, along with I can't wait to see what happens with this character also. But guys, we are going to transition into your live viewer questions. What's up, Common Rider? Good to see you in here, man. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Blossom says, Jizo Rosie, the Zord looks cool. Yeah, I agree with you, Blossom. I cannot wait. Coder Nerd says, I really love the Don Brothers now. It's so different of what we were used to be. I love that thing where they're not really a team yet and just get transported when needed. The Robo thing looks pretty awesome. Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to watch this week's episode of Don Brothers. So I will definitely check it out when I get the opportunity to today. Probably watch it maybe sometime tonight. If anything, I'll definitely watch it tomorrow. And see if I can have a review up. If I don't have a review up for Don Brothers tomorrow, it'll definitely be up on Wednesday. All right. Blossom says, if you had a Don Brother as your teacher, who would you choose? Saru Brother for sure. Just because he'll go on some haiku and he'll just get lost in his own thoughts. And I could sit in the back of the class and do whatever I want to, and he'd be so distracted with his own thoughts. He won't even know what's going on. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump into these live viewer questions. Going to try and fly through these as quick as I can because there are a lot, as always, certainly coming through, especially because of the fact that we have stuff from Saturday. So I am going to remember, if you sent in more than one email, I'm only picking one email, y'all. Y'all think y'all slick sometimes, man. Like I'm some idiot. I'm just kidding. Alexander Rosario. Let me see. I know you got some stuff up here, Alexander. Let me see what we got here. That's pretty damn long. What's your other one say? Okay, here we go. This is just my opinion. What's up, Alexander, man? Thank you, by the way, for taking your time out of your week to send me questions. This is just my opinion, but I really don't like when people constantly complain about filler episodes and shows. Even in Dino Fury, I know we all want the main story to keep going forward, but I feel like we need episodes that allow the characters to interact and have character development. I don't mind if an episode isn't amazing, but I wanted them to at least be enjoyable and progress the characters. If a filler episode still has a connection to the actual story, then I'm happy. I remember we all hated Super Mega Force for barely not giving us enough development, especially Troy. Again, sorry for this comment, but I feel like it needed to be said. Filler episodes can be great as long as the main story is still there. Yeah, I agree. Not every filler episode is crap. You know, there's definitely are some filler episodes that while I may not necessarily have been the biggest fan of, again, I think you could find some really great character moments in there, right? Whether that be a lesson that they learn, a personal growth of theirs. There's always something to really pick out of a Power Ranger episode to certainly enjoy. And so, again, some filler episodes may feel more filler than others, but I definitely do think and would agree with you that there's always something really to be able to pick from them, especially when there are elements of the main storyline that do find their way into those type of episodes. And again, you know, thinking about Dino Fury, Simon Bennett did state the fact that this show was only written for to be 22 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, this season. But the fact that they had a second season, they then had to also go ahead and add what we call filler episodes, and things that kind of help expand. But, you know, one of the things that Simon Bennett did mention, and it's very much in tune with what you said, Alexander, is that those type of episodes do allow the characters to interact with one another and have those character development moments. So the filler episodes definitely can work to their advantage for sure. All right. So I just want to make sure I had all Alexander's stuff. All right. Jessica Friedman, which Power Ranger spinoff would you have seen to get a second season? Wait, did I answer these questions right? Oh, yeah, that was from the 24th. That was Sunday. She sent that in. Okay. So, yeah, which Power Ranger spinoff would you have seen get a second season? So, what Power Ranger season would I like to have seen get a second season? SPD would have been cool. I would like to have seen more SPD. I definitely wanted more Time Force. There are a couple of great shows. There are a couple of ones I would like to have seen. I would like to have seen a second season of Beast Morphers too, honestly. I don't know what direction you would have gone, but I just wanted that cast back. You know what I mean? Ionis. What's up, Ionis? Man, y'all making some long comments. Hold on a second. I might have to hold on to this one, Ionis. I'm not trying to be up here too late tonight with the Francois. What's up, Francois? Don't you miss in Power Rangers when the season finale would have all the side reoccurring characters show up for the last hurrah to help save the day with the Rangers? Neo Saban stopped doing that. Yeah, I didn't mind it as long as it didn't interfere with the main storyline and the idea of wrapping everything up. I'm perfectly okay with that. There are some times like I was a big fan of that, of like Lost in Space, in Space. I was a big fan of when they wind up doing that moment. Also, the big reveal, you know what I mean, and having all these recurring characters and side characters around and stuff. I was always a big fan of that. But I do like when they get involved, as long as it doesn't take away from the main story. Say that whole Jane and Jayborg flying around France in a hot air balloon and not getting any usable footage plot in Dino Season 2, Episode 1. Is that a reference to the unaired Bulk and Skull pilot, the Bulk and Skull pilot? And when they randomly came back in Turbo as if nothing happened? That's an interesting question. You know, I don't know. I don't know, Francois. That's a good question. That would be pretty cool if it was like an homage to that. That would be actually been pretty cool. Who's next? Good old Joey Thompson. What's up, Joey Thompson? He says, you know how when it comes to TV shows, especially Power Rangers Dino Fury, not all episodes hit us differently. Doesn't mean that everyone will have the same thoughts and opinions. While some people do not like episode 9 season 1 and episode 7 season 2, doesn't immediately mean the entire series will be really bad. As we know, tons of people were blown away by Dino Fury, even fans around the world who got to check it out of the series when season 1 was put on Netflix. I mean, yeah, that's one of the things that we say here all the time, you know. Movies, and it's not just, you know, not just Power Rangers, but it's every television show, it's every movie, it's every work of art, in the sense that is in fact subjective, right? So it speaks to each person individually, and you take away what you will from the episode. So not everybody will like every episode. Some people will love every episode. Some people will not like Dino Fury. Some people will. Certainly to each their own. But you know, just because you might have 1 or 2 bad episodes, you know, I think we should always look at the series as a whole before truly judging it for what it's worth. But yeah, it's all subjective. It all hits people absolutely differently. J.K. Lawrence, what's up, J.K. Lawrence? With Hasbro Power Rangers Reboot universe, do you think fans who watched Hasbro's past films like the G.I. Joe franchise, Snake Eyes, and even the 2017 MMPR reboot will be worried or not interested in seeing the new universe? Do you want Jonathan Entwistle's new project to do better than those past films that didn't quite hit the fans? Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely want Jonathan Entwistle's to certainly do better. You know, I've only seen one thing of what Jonathan Entwistle has created, and I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I feel like he understands or is able to tap into the mind of a teenager. Really handles them pretty well, especially in that high school kind of environment. The series that I watched, though, kind of teased the idea of somebody with powers, the idea of it, like a season 2, if it had gotten a season 2, like really would have explored, I don't know if it was going to be a superhero genre sort of thing, or at least somebody with powers, maybe a little bit more action, right? That was the only downside of the Jonathan Entwistle series that I watched, that it just wasn't heavy in the action. It was very much more character driven and character development. But again, it was just the one series that I've watched of him, and unfortunately, we only wind up getting 1 season of it. I can see where he was going, and I would have been really fascinated to kind of see how does he tap into the action side of things. So I'm really hoping, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. He's got a creative mind of what he wants to really see, and it's really going to be dependent on Brian Edward Hill to really help write Hill's own version of what he certainly would like to see, but also the idea of what Jonathan Entwistle is certainly trying to create. It'll be interesting, like, combination, and see how those two really work together. But I'm hoping this new project does better than the past. But you mentioned the idea that this with the Hasbro Power Ranger universe. Do you think fans who watched Hasbro's past films, like Snake Eyes and the other GI Joe franchise movies, oh, well, Saban's, that's not really a Hasbro. The 2017 wasn't a Hasbro. I think that was Saban and Lionsgate. But yeah, I'm sure some people would probably be worried or a little bit concerned. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. I'm getting that way right now when it comes to Sony Spider-Man movies. Like, Venom 1, I didn't really care for. Fool me once, shame on me. Or fool me once, shame on you. And then they hit me with Venom 2, fool me twice, shame on me, man. And now I'm very hesitant about any Sony Spider-Man movie that I go and see. I just refer to Sony as the studio of mediocrity at this point. Just putting movies out just to put them out and not really giving their best effort is how I view Sony movies these days. So I'm hoping Hasbro is not in that same vicinity. Adam Perea, what's up, Adam? Actually, let me just make sure I didn't get any other emails. Okay, all right, Adam, what you got? Let's see. Adam Perea, you know how Once a Ranger was the best anniversary of Power Rangers since Forever Red? Did you know that it was actually quite similar to the Bukinger versus Sentai 30th anniversary crossover by having mostly the same Rangers from different seasons, but with smaller adjustments? Dino Thunder, we got yellow instead of black, Mystic Force, green instead of yellow, and the Solaris Knight. SPD, red instead of Omega White, and MMPR, Adam Instagram, if aka Red. I wonder if that's a typo. What do you think when Power Rangers does an anniversary or crossover in general that's similar to its Sentai counterpart, but not copying it completely and having an anniversary season the same year? It's I don't know if I've watched enough Sentai yet to see the big crossover events that they've had and Power Rangers have had. Like I don't believe I saw the one that they just used for the 20th and the Jason one when he came back for Beast Morphers. I think that was a movie, right? Like a crossover movie. I hadn't seen that Sentai wise. I don't believe I even watched the movie for the Ninja crossover event that led to, what was that, the 25th anniversary one, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, I don't believe I saw that one either. So actually, I don't think I've seen a lot of the counterparts to a lot of these, with the exception of like the legendary fail, which was a massive fail compared to what Super Sentai gave us. Let's see here. But yeah, I do love Once a Ranger, man. It's absolutely incredible. Let's see who is next. Good old Kevin Rickardson. What's up, buddy? Let me go ahead and pull up your comments here. Live viewer question. You mentioned at the end of last week that some people hinted at a June release on the final batch of season 2 of Dino Fury. If that isn't the case, don't you think it would be kind of stupid and missed opportunity if Hasbro waited till August or September to release the rest of season 2 of Dino Fury? Like, what was the point of bringing Dino Fury to Netflix if they're going to do what Nickelodeon did with waiting till it finished? Hasbro should already be focusing on the 30th anniversary at that point. All the episodes are done with post-production. You can argue that perhaps Hasbro wants to wait till National Power Rangers Day, which we all know is nothing when it comes to post-MMPR or even to Power Morphicon. So in regards to the idea of June releases, it was just people speculating. I don't think they knew anything whatsoever about it. But you say, if that's the case, don't you think it would be kind of stupid and a missed opportunity if Hasbro waited till August or September to release the rest of season 2 of Dino Fury? Oh, I think the reason why we said people are hinting at June is because I think somebody asked, Simon Bennett, like, hey, if I'm watching Dino Fury, what's the best way to watch it so that it can hold me over until the second half of season 2? And Simon Bennett said, watch each episode weekly. And technically that would be 11 weeks. And so I think the 11-week period ended sometime in June, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's probably where it came, if I'm not mistaken. Would it be stupid though for them to wait? Listen, one of the things that we mentioned when we were always talking about, and this is why if you're not watching A Plus More Phenomenal or soon to be A Plus Hero Report, why you certainly should. One of the things that we talked about, that transition from Nickelodeon to Netflix, we all know how Netflix tends to work. There's always options, right? When it comes to Netflix, you can either drop the series all at once. You can either drop it weekly, or you can drop it in parts. I definitely have seen all three available to Netflix. We've always complained about the hiatus that we get when it comes to Nickelodeon. And I've always emphasized we're still going to get hiatuses when it comes to Power Rangers. Just because of the fact that you drop a whole season, right? All at once, people would just binge that shit in what, a week, 2 weeks? And then what? Technically, your hiatus will now last you approximately about a year until you get the next project or series type of thing, right? Whereas I think the idea of splitting it up is actually a much better position to be in. Personally, and this is just me, I would love Netflix to drop these episodes once a week. Looking at the Hasbro Q1 revenue thing, they say, yeah, revenues for Power Rangers is looking up. It was on, the top 10 for kids. Once it launched, for the next 2 weeks, it was in the top 10. Would have improved that if you did one episode a week. Because then I can almost guarantee you Dino Fury would probably be in your top 10 for 11 weeks straight. But the problem is it's only in there for 2 weeks. Why? Because we binge it. We watch it all. And then we're done. Until the next episodes, we got nothing else to watch. And we create a hiatus for ourselves. So for me, if I'm Hasbro, I kind of want to go back to the once a week thing, because I feel like nowadays I'm the only person on Twitter talking about Dino Fury and talking about Dino Fury episodes and stuff from time to time. But that's the idea of keeping that momentum for your series and that marketing and that promoting, right? You keep that hype train going for 11 weeks instead of just 2 weeks, is what I would certainly think. And then you allow this to carry itself out a little bit further, so that when you are ready to go ahead and say drop the next season or the second half or whatever the case may be, boom, you're a lot closer to that date than you are. So again, I would either do it once, the once a week thing. And I'm okay also with the second part. Regardless, there is always going to be a hiatus, whether that be a wait between a part 1 and a part 2, whether that be dropping it all at once and then having to wait for the 30th anniversary, because the 30th anniversary technically is not till 2023. So if you want all of Dino Fury to drop now, your hiatus is probably going to last you about 9 months. Right? So, I don't think it's a missed opportunity. I think anytime they want to drop it works fine for them. Don't you think it would kind of be stupid and a missed opportunity if Hasbro waited till June or September to release it? Not at all. Not at all. I think you want to kind of stretch this out for as long as you possibly can, if you ask me. I'd rather take the wait between a part 1 and a part 2 and then our 30th anniversary than 11 weeks, and then I just fear that second 11th week is going to be a longer time period to the 30th anniversary. So I say you buffer it out. I say you give us a nice 5-month hiatus, 4-month hiatus. Yeah, about maybe a 5 month. So when did this drop? March, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, give me a 5-month hiatus, man. Give me a 5-month hiatus. And then what? That'll take up about another 2 months of people time. So that'll take us what to September, October. So now we're in October, November, December, January, February, March. Another 5 months. Boom. Drop it in August, please. I'll take that. But yeah, that's just how I view it, though. That's just how I view it, though. Kurt's next. Kurt's got a question. Let me just make sure. Just going through these questions here. But we'll see how when they release it. Maybe they will release it in June and just get it over with. Who knows? Kurt, what's up, Kurt? How cool was it that Lightspeed Rescue gave us our first American exclusive Ranger? That was pretty cool. That Titanium Ranger looked pretty badass. I also really love that Max Solar Zord was given to Ryan as his own Zord with brand new cockpit footage. That was pretty cool. I definitely agree with you. It was a shame that Ryan had to on his mission to Egypt in order to accommodate the Sentai footage. I really wish that they at least used him more outside of his suit. Ryan was an awesome Ranger, and it was surreal that he first came on as evil. I always love that transition from evil to good. Really fits his storyline along with Captain Mitchell and Dana. Thank you very much, Kurt, for your email. I think next up is good old Mackenzie. What's up, Mackenzie? I hope you've had a fantastic weekend and start to your week. What secrets or rumors from Power Rangers have you heard of? You know, I did just read recently an article about one of the stunt coordinators, I think from like seasons 1 or 2 of Mighty Morphin, complaining about like losing his job to Koichi Sakamoto, or maybe even Yuji. It's just funny. I think just based off, not funny that the homeboy lost his job, but the fact that we literally just read an article about the stunt man, the stunt actor and our stunt director in Yuji, talking about them coming on board back in '93 for like the second season of Power Rangers. It kind of almost lines up perfectly with what that gentleman was talking about. It just made him, it felt very much like he had some resentment towards the idea of losing his job and Koichi or Yuji maybe taking over and him kind of being fired. I mean, if you look, it's business, unfortunately. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you look at what Yuji was just talking about, the idea of his Alpha Stunts team and what they just came off of in regards to the Guyver movie, getting that name recognition, people knowing who you are, you wanting to maybe take your content and Power Rangers to the next level by bringing in another stunt team. I mean, I get it. I definitely get the decision, but I'll have to read a little bit more about that. But that was something that I did not know in regards to the other stunt coordinator. Mentioned the idea that he felt like somebody came in and just kind of took his job. I thought it was pretty crazy. He said one I found. Oh, you probably meant more storyline wise, but you said one I found was in Dino Supercharged, the actor of Tyler's dad, who was the Aqua Ranger. His voice was often dubbed over due to the actor's New Zealand Kiwi accent constantly slipping through. We all know since Ninja Storm, the creators don't want fans to know it's not filmed in the US for some reason, except for Chase, the Black Ranger, who got to keep his native Kiwi accent. And I want to say maybe the other one would be, and I don't know if this is not necessarily a rumor or a secret anymore, but it was revealed that, Calvin and Shelby were supposed to have a kiss in Ninja Steel. It was filmed. I believe it was filmed. It was filmed, but unfortunately, it never got to see the light of day and get aired. So a little bit of a bummer. Next question comes from Gabriel. What's up, Gabriel? Following A+ Hero report, you guys mentioned how Power Rangers SPD erased people's minds whenever they do time traveling. This kind of bothered me during, I think Stuart brought that up. He said, this kind of bothered me during the Wormhole episode, which was the second team up with Dino Thunder. Commander Kruger forgot to erase the minds of the Omega Ranger, Rick the Robot Dog, Cat, Tommy, and the city of Reefside. Omega Ranger was from the future, so it made sense to keep his memories intact. Also, we know Power Rangers Time Force, which was the first time travel season, they didn't erase the Rangers' minds, though it would make perfect sense when Jen confronted Alex. How is that Time Force kept memories intact, but SPD didn't, even though timeline-wise, SPD was in 2025? I'm pretty sure they just destroyed the time. I'm pretty sure they probably created a bunch of time paradoxes and just destroyed time and continuity as we know it. It's probably how it really should have played out, the fact of not erasing people's minds. Michael Rhymes, for the 30th anniversary, when it comes to bringing back veteran Rangers, I wonder if they'll consist of 1 or 2 members from each era of the Power Rangers, aside from David Yost himself. If those Rangers would be the same Ranger color or widespread, it would be arguable. It would even be arguable. It would even be absolutely wild if, when we got a new team of Rangers aside from the veterans, they either got brand new Ranger suits or motifs, or they were chosen or become Rangers by wearing the suits of past Rangers. Well, listen, one of the theories and speculation out there when it comes to the 30th anniversary is the idea that while we will be having past Rangers coming back, returning Rangers, that they might have matching uniforms or maybe suits. So I don't know if we're necessarily creating a brand new team with past Power Rangers or not. Again, that's just speculation and rumor as of right now. Nothing's been confirmed. But that would kind of almost line up with what you're talking about. And the idea of 1 or 2 members from each era of Power Rangers is kind of what I was really going for. The idea of a returning, maybe somebody from Dino Fury, maybe 1 or 2 people from, say, the Neo Saban era, 1 or 2 people from the Disney era. And then if you do have any cameos throughout the season, maybe you can really go further back with some legacy Rangers from the classic Saban era. It's kind of how I've expressed it over the past couple of weeks and how I would like to see that worked out for the 30th anniversary. But so you might be onto something, Michael. We'll see how it turns out, though. We never actually had a new team of Rangers wear the Ranger suits of old Rangers, unless you still count Super Mega Force. Yeah, I don't know if they'll wear the outfits of older Rangers so much as it'll either be their own costumes they're wearing or maybe new costumes. We'll have to see how it goes, though. But thank you, Michael, for your questions. Give me a second here. Okay, next up is good old Ibase. My thoughts on watching Hasbro's Fan First Tuesday a week later. It was actually not that atrocious to watch, but was indeed cringy. You can clearly tell the host didn't really want to be there, except for the dude, Jordan, who did at least try to give everything he had. Yeah, Jordan was trying. Jordan was literally like the MVP of this. Like, he was literally trying to carry this show on his back. I did chuckle a number of times. He kept saying, the lady definitely did not feel like being there at all, even her facial expressions. I think a lot of people have certainly said that. They did mention Pam. She's new here. So maybe that's the type of energy she was certainly bringing, but still, come on, man. We don't need that type of energy on the show. I did really like they acknowledged Dino Fury with energy, even teased us with the rest of season 2 would come out, which was somewhere in the future, which made me sad. Jason's power sword looks amazing, and it is life size. I think he even mentioned that there's like some die cast metal in it also. But what really killed the video for me was not only was it 10 minutes, but the way everybody talked highly of the Dragon Zord, even showing 2 tiny figures of Tommy as the Green Ranger. To give credit where it's due, it wasn't a piece of crap of a showcase, but it was laughable. The Pinata segment was super cringy. And that's one thing that we've always said, or at least one thing that I mentioned was like, the products, great. Big fan of the products. Really enjoy what they had, to the point of like, man, I kind of want to buy 1 or 2 of those items, right? Like I do like the product, but the presentation, like you mentioned, brutal, man, brutal. Yeah, that pinata, yeah. Come on, bro. No. To wrap up, this was very disappointing presentation of Power Rangers, and I really hope Hasbro learns from this backlash and either bring new presenters who actually do care, or these people back, but with real energy next time. I mean, I'll take the people we literally have had for like the past couple of years doing these fan firsts. I don't know why they switched them up all of a sudden. It was a very bad look for Power Ranger fans and for Hasbro. We already know the general public feels a certain type of way, sees Power Rangers since the beginning, 6 out of 10. And that's what, yeah. And I think that was part of my thing that we mentioned, was, yeah, and you've mentioned this before, that sometimes Power Rangers already has such a negative stigma to it, and people already call it corny and cheesy. So to be able to kind of tap and like, hey, maybe we should make a corny and cheesy and cringy like video and stuff. Like you're just feeding into the stigma, right? Like you're just feeding into the machine of people thinking Power Rangers isn't something to be focused on or take seriously. And it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot and kind of taking their own product back a couple of years. You know what I mean? So it's really worrisome, man. And so that's why I said the products, again, great, but you need to come out with people with energy, and you need to treat us like we've never seen these products before, because you will get new viewers and people that see these presentations for the first time. And if you present that to them, there's going to be no energy or any anticipation for them to purchase anything that you're creating. So I'm sure that there's a side of Hasbro that might be frustrated that sometimes people are going to leak stuff, right? You're going to get half these people know what's coming from the Lightning Collection half a year in advance before it actually gets presented. Hasbro should not care. You come out with the energy like, I've never seen this shit before in my life. That's the type of energy that you need to have. And so I hope they get back to it. I really do. I really do. Let's see here. Jericho, you got a question for us also. Is it me, or in Dino Thunder, Tommy being stuck in his suit for 10 episodes never really made any sense? I know JDF puts his contract when he signed for Dino Fury that he needed to go back home to the US to spend time with his family and take care of the dojos. He at least did voice work for Tommy. I do wonder, I think maybe that was a way for him. That probably is maybe like a vacation time or a way for him to be away from filming. Maybe he was sick, or maybe he hurt or injured himself during that time period. I'm kind of curious as to why that is. But if they were just having a suit actor in his suit the entire time, I think it was probably more than just for storyline purposes. Maybe something a little more personal level for Tommy. I mean, for JDF to not be there. Just seeing Tommy stuck in his suit for most of the series after Trent froze him in an ember early on shows that morphing grid doesn't really make sense that much. Just seeing Tommy in his suit all the time tells me that he reached God mode. Even when he gets hit very hard, he doesn't demorph, though we all know all 4 of the Rangers demorphed when Trent first came on as the Evil Ranger and knocked him out. Yeah, man, he got that. Yeah, he definitely got that extra power up for sure. Jackson Peterson, what's up, Jackson? Appreciate you certainly coming through today. Hold on a second. Now you do got 2 comments in here, so but you were pretty. I'll save that for next week, Jackson. This one, though, you were pretty adamant. You said, please go over this. I may be in a small group of people, but I'm absolutely loving how Void Knight and Tarek has been handled so far in season 2 of Dino Fury. I don't think you're in a small group of that. I think a lot of people, unless I'm not hearing the pushback that you are, Jackson. I love seeing him still trying to get through to Santora now as Void Queen, and even if she really seek the Rangers, and if he should really seek the Rangers' help, him watching them from a drone was really cool, and he got to see the Rangers question whose side he's on, or just another trick. I love that Zato is acting like the leader he is, not being dumb and immediately accepting Tarek for what he's done. Absolutely. Since the series started, this really shows Zato has his grudge and rivalry towards Void Knight. Tarek himself reminds me a lot of Eric from Time Force and Merrick from Wild Force, both who were loners and anti-heroes. I prefer Tarek more than Korag from Mystic Force, who is pretty much a copy of his Sentai version. Tarek as his own character, and I love it. Can't wait for you to see episode 9 and 11 of season 2. I'm looking forward to it, Jackson. I truly am, man. But yeah, I'm loving the Void Knight stuff. I really am. It's really compelling stuff. I am curious if they're going to do anything with that drone technology that they found, because Jane and Jay Borg discovered it, thought it was part of the hackers thing, but it wasn't. Then the hacker saw it and still didn't do anything with it. but it's still in their possession. So I am wondering if Mara will create something or if they'll do something with it. I think that would be pretty cool, honestly. But regardless if they don't or not, the Void Knight stuff has been great. Literally the only hiccup I've ever had with the Void Knight situation was the previous episode and his sympathy and all of a sudden feeling for the pain that these monsters are causing the humans and stuff. That felt a little bit weird for me. But yeah, you're right. His devotion to his love, the hard work that this man has put in to try and get this woman off this planet and to have it thrown in his face like that, to see him still trying to get through to her, trying to get the Rangers help, seeing them whether or not they should trust it. It's been fantastic and really great in regards to his storyline, if you ask me. So I've been a big fan. I've been a fan. Let's see here. What else we got? John, what's up, John? What do you think when you read comments online about how some fans constantly want Power Rangers to go back to being on Nickelodeon to suffer? Same people who complain about Power Rangers being really bad during the Neo Saban era. They don't understand that more fans around the world now have access to Power Rangers even faster than it was on live TV. They have a mindset that Netflix will just cancel Power Rangers in a few years like all the other shows. Being on Netflix brings so many freedoms and creativity. Listen, I do not want Power Rangers to ever go back to a cable television station again. I don't even care if it doesn't succeed on Netflix, Paramount Plus, where you at? Disney Plus, where you at? Somebody needs to, I think somebody will pick up the franchise at some particular point in time if Hasbro drops it. But as far as like just a place where you can have it distributed to, streaming services only, please. I want a place that's going to reach millions and not thousands. And that's exactly what Netflix certainly does. So listen, there are always going to be some people that have always liked Power Rangers the way that it is, have a hard time accepting change, have a hard time accepting things that are different. Sometimes we have such an ownership of Power Rangers that we hold on so tight that we don't want anything to change. And change is always difficult for some people to accept. And so some people, have seen it on Nickelodeon for such a long time. Maybe they've got some personal attachments to it. I have no idea. Maybe they want it. Maybe they're just trolling and they really want Power Rangers to not succeed. So we can go back to the not succeeding on Nickelodeon and you can keep your same Power Rangers as you've had it all these years, or we can really try and do something great here and push Power Rangers forward back into the mainstream to where, as everybody complains about, it's stigmatized and seen as corny. Maybe we have that opportunity of finally changing it. So there are some people that have a hard time swallowing the fact that change is coming and that you need to put Power Rangers in front of a much, much bigger audience than what it's certainly getting these days. And we try and do our best to explain that. But yeah, Power Rangers on Netflix means freedom and creativity, if you ask me. Who else is next? Good old Nicole Robertson. What's up, Nicole? Thank you for your questions. He says, hey, y'all. Hope you're doing well and glad it's now the weekend. I have a question and a comment. What's your initial reaction when Tommy was promoted to leader as the White Ranger? Do you think by that point any Ranger could have a new Ranger power as long as your existing powers are no longer working? I was pumped. I honestly felt like Tommy was the natural selection. Once Jason left, there was just this aura of confidence in the way that Tommy sort of held himself, that just kind of screamed leader to me. So when Jason left, it didn't surprise me, but it did surprise, like, the fact that Tommy jumped into a leadership role, it didn't surprise me. Him coming back definitely surprised me. When they were like, the fact that they were working on something and they were super secretive. I couldn't remember if like Tommy was just not around for a couple episodes, or he was, but he was always like busy and dipped out or something like that, right? And you was wondering like, where the fuck is Tommy, bro? Where the fuck is Tommy? And then he comes coming down like fucking Jesus to shine his light upon everybody, and he becomes the new leader. It was a great moment for me as a kid watching it. I remember that. Yeah, man. God mode for sure. It's still amazing that the episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder, when 4 of the Rangers except Trent get trapped inside of a comic book accidentally, created by Trent's favorite artist, ambushed by the villain Elsa. It was such a very cool and clever way to use Super Sentai footage for an entirety of the episode, like the Monster of the Week's power is able to change the weather to snow, and with Trent's Super Sentai counterpart showing up late to help the team. You know, that's a great point. Like, I do wonder, like, going back and thinking about it now, like, how much time off did they actually have for the episode? Like, I wonder how much original footage they actually filmed for the episode, or if they were like, you know, this is our easy episode this season, guys. Let's kind of sit back. We got all this footage we can use. You know what I'm saying? Do you wish more Power Rangers seasons use clever, unique ways to use Sentai footage while focusing on a completely original story? It is, but it's hard. It's hard. Focusing on a completely original story, yet I mean, that would be hard, man. Because I almost think sometimes your story has to navigate around Super Sentai so much. Does it then become an original story completely, though? I would love to pick Simon Bennett's brain in regards to just ask him a bunch of questions in regards to an adaptation. Marcelino, what's up, Marcelino? The Neo Saban era created exclusive power-ups and weapons that can only be exclusive to the cockpit. A lot of fans like the design and the idea behind it, but they don't like the execution. The problem was that the majority of the time, the powers and weapons will only be used inside the cockpit of a Megazord and never used outside in the ground fights. We kind of see that right now. Beast Morphers and Dino Fury follow this pattern as well. Yep, there you go. But the difference is that both series balanced it out by only creating a few power-ups and weapons that are exclusive to the cockpits, while the majority of the exclusive power-ups and weapons would be used outside of the cockpits. What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm cool with that. I did feel some type of way about it when they first started introducing that type of thing. Like, I think it's kind of stupid, and this is just me. Like, I think it's kind of stupid, the idea that we have this gigantic ass Mega Fury saber. But like, when was the last time we saw the Megazord use a sword and like chop somebody down? Right? Like, my thing is, it's cool to create an exclusive weapon, but like, if your Zord doesn't have a sword in regards to its attack, why are we using a sword as an exclusive weapon? I just think sometimes it could be handled better, a different weapon choice maybe. Hell, you know, if look, the benefits of creating an original cockpit is you do get to then create original anything that you want to put in there, right? In certain cases, shit, give me some exclusive Pacquiao gloves while I'm inside this Zord. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm who cares about the special effects? No, man. Let's carry those Pacquiao gloves into the Zord with us. That would be cool, right? When we go into those Zords. Like, if we're going to do that and we have all these different Zord formations, why not just create exclusive weapons for each different Zord formation that we have, huh? Instead of using the same saber when your final attack is a kick. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing that makes me laugh every time. It's like, I wonder why they went with the sword for a super exclusive weapon. But I do like the exclusive weapons. I do. I just always laugh at the idea of, but he's not slashing anything. But yeah, I totally get it. But I do like it. I do like the way it's handled, Marcelino. P.S. I also find it funny, even though the New Zealand team recreated the Madame Noir suit from scratch, they still kept the exposed breast area where they could have easily removed it. Look, you gotta introduce kids sometime. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. What, they're like 6? Yeah. I don't know. I guess I never noticed it. Let's see here. Dino AJ, what do you think of episode 8? He says, I thought it was pretty good, an entertaining episode. I love that it still very much continued the story of Void Knight, Tarek possibly switching sides. I find it really cool seeing Tarek actually in civilian clothes and using the remote drone. The purple color shirt and hat really suits him like a boss. Yeah, I love the suit for the guy. It made me laugh when there was a civilian like, you really trying to rock that same thing, bruh? Like, it just don't work that way. I'm not as gullible as these 6-year-olds you're trying to fool. As for the subplot of the kid hacker, while others may have thought it was fillery, I didn't think it was fillery. I just didn't find it was just weird to me that they had the culprit be a little kid. That was my thing. It was really cool and a great way for Jane and Jay Borg to be in the episode without doing random slapstick. That's a good point. They did have more screen time in this episode than we're certainly used to. So that's something I really missed in my review, AJ. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, that they did really get a lot more screen time in here and have the opportunity to shine a little bit more. It made sense considering Buzz Blast is a social media agency. Even the scene with Jane's actress doing a tap dancing video but falling, it really connects to how social media is today. Ion interacting with the little girl who ended up being the hacker, while it was easy to solve and felt like lesson of the day, it did allow Ion to do something besides telling jokes. I always remember that moral story is for the kids, not for us. Yeah, I mean, well, listen, some of that moral stuff is for us adults. Like, trust me when I say there are some grown-ass people out there that need to relearn some of these lessons as a kid. Okay, accountability, anybody? Yes, please. So it may necessarily be, the people will say these are just for 6-year-olds, but there's some grown-ass adults that have forgotten the simplicities of some of the lessons that they should be, they should have remembered as a kid for sure. Just because you get older, that shit don't change. Yes, I laughed my ass off when Hobby said, sniffing out trouble. Oh, that came out wrong. You just found a whole steaming pile of it. Oh, you just stepped in a whole steaming pile of it, referring to poop. Yes, I get it, which I didn't mind the line. Because it felt like Javi, and pardon my French, but it sounded like Javi was saying, you just stepped in a whole steaming pile of it, in the sense of like, you just stepped into some shit, my guy, right? Like, you've been out here destroying some stuff. You done stepped in some shit because now you got to face against us, and that's never a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you done got yourself into a situation you did not want whatsoever. So like, I know he says, oops, that came out wrong, but I got the meaning. I think I understood a little bit as to what he was saying. Chris Crossman, what's up, Chris Cross? I don't know why every time I see your name, Chris, I want to dance for some reason, man. I don't know why. Let me see, Chris Cross. I'm just gonna call you Chris Cross. Your name is no longer Chris Crossman to me. It is officially Chris Cross. Remember the episode of Power Rangers in Space, Shell Shocked? What did you think of that episode when it first came out, and do you still enjoy it? Please don't. Is Shell Shocked the TMNT crossover? Chris, you trying to get me to talk about TMNT? Oh, he says, yeah, he did. Yeah, I always find it ridiculous. Sorry, I didn't even finish the rest of the email. I got like offended. Like, we're really bringing that up. He says, I always found it ridiculous. So weird knowing that TMNT exists in PR universe now, because that was a time period when they had the live action TMNT show on, I believe, right? Like, Venus was in there. TJ seemingly falling for Venus. The female blue turtle was cringy, and then riding the Galaxy Gliders at the end. Though it was a filler episode, it was a goofy and just explain the PR universe. How come we never saw them or get referenced again after this episode? The only other reference I think we got was in the comic books, right? The crossover MMPR and TMNT. Which was a fantastic crossover if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out. I try and erase that episode from my mind, Chris, just so you know. The TMNT live action show was cringy, and unfortunately, it brought its cringe factor over the Power Rangers. You know, it was cool seeing them on screen together. I just was not a fan of the episode. I thought it was cool that I'm cool with that type of PR universe. Hey, if Power Rangers and TMNT want to be connected in that way, I'm cool with it. I just wish it was a better presentation than what it was. Adrian Perez. What's up, Adrian? How would you feel if Countdown to Destruction happened in MMPR instead of in space? Do you think Power Rangers would have survived at the invasion of Earth in Countdown to Destruction if it happened in MMPR? Or Zeo, would Tommy and his team be able to pull it off and stop the invasion and save the universe? God. There is a part of me that wants to say yes. And I only say that as really, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to Zordon. You know what I mean? I think if you got Zordon on your side, you're cool, man. You're cool. He says, I, however, don't think it would have been as satisfying of a storyline. That's true. That's true. Nowhere near as satisfying, for sure. Could they have? I wouldn't have wanted it in MMPR. I love where it's at. I wouldn't want to change it for a thing. I don't think it would have been satisfying storyline if they changed it up, but I do think they would have survived the invasion. I do. Is that I, however, don't think it would have been as satisfying for the story like in space. Andros risking his life to see if he can save his sister and reluctantly destroying Zordon to save the universe, though, would have been more emotional for Tommy or Jason to do it. TJ, Cassie, Ashley, Carlos, and Zane revealing their identities to protect the citizens of Eggersville Grove. On a thematic level, it comes full circle for the 4 Earth Rangers since they failed so hard and barely survived the end of Turbo with the destruction of the power chamber, taking on the forces of evil with Bulk and Skull, leading the civilians to lend a hand. Makes all so much better. The Mighty Morphin or Zero Rangers could have defeated Dark Spectre, but it was more satisfying and important for the Space Rangers to save the day. Perfect ending to the Zordon era. I agree with you, Adrian. 100%, man. Appreciate your email. A couple more to go here, guys, and then we'll wrap up. Haruki, what's up, Haruki? Coming through. Hi, what are the big differences when you watch Super Sentai and Power Rangers? I am based in Japan, so not much Power Rangers shows here, but we have a fan dubs like Power Rangers SPD. Oh, another international fan. Thank you very much, man. My brother lives in Japan, by the way. The biggest differences when I watch Super Sentai and Power Rangers, you know, I think Super Sentai pushes the envelope. They really do take a lot of creative risks, I feel like, especially in this Reiwa era recently. You know, I guess when you've had 40 plus seasons of Super Sentai, it's easier to easily repeat things. You know what I mean? So I appreciate them taking the chances and the risks, even though sometimes it's a loss. You know what I mean? But so I will give Super Sentai that. I do think it takes itself a little bit more seriously. Super Sentai Power Rangers unfortunately has the benefit or the downside of adapting. So we're always working around whatever it is that Super Sentai has kind of created. So Power Rangers I find a little bit more kid friendly for sure. This season of Donbrothers is definitely pushing that envelope for Super Sentai. I feel like the Reiwa era has felt kind of childlike to me in regards to Kara Major along with Zenkaiger being very accessible for kids if they want to just jump on board with Super Sentai, whereas Donbrother feels like we're getting back into more mature levels of storytelling, if you will. So those are the big differences for me. Whereas I feel like Super Sentai has the benefit of changing and, you know, navigating around things and really making itself what it wants to be. And presenting itself to all ages, whereas Power Rangers right now feels very much controlled creatively to a certain extent with handcuffs due to Sentai, and very much to 6-year-olds. You know what I mean? So those are the big differences that I see when it comes to Power Rangers. Brittany, what's up, Brittany? Carrasco certainly coming through. If Ultraman were to ever be adapted into Power Rangers, do you think it would work? Some of my friends are Ultraman fans, and they say the show does seem like Power Rangers at times. Why hasn't Ultraman been adapted in America? If it has, if they have in the past, how was it? I don't recall them ever adapting Ultraman in America. Not off the top of my head that I can think of. But I would love to see Ultraman adapted into Power Rangers. That would be pretty freaking cool. I would be up for it. Maybe it's just because of the fact that I literally just started dabbling in Ultraman a little bit myself. So thinking of the aesthetics of the show, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I would really love to see like a Megazord go up against Ultraman, like a crossover or versus type of movie to where they eventually do work together and then face off against the villain, right? But I would love to see a great battle between those. I think it could work. I don't believe it's been adapted in America though, but if you guys know if it's been adapted in America, go ahead and let me know. But I do think it could work, you know? I do think it could work. In the direction we're going now, maybe not so much. Had they thought about this maybe like 10, 15 years ago, then maybe. But as of right now, I don't believe they have anything in mind for that. But it would be pretty cool, Brittany. I would definitely be down for that. Carlo, what's up, Carlo? For the Hasbro Reboot universe, if all goes well, can we get 6 Rangers who don't take half a season to show up? I know Sentai footage since the beginning has been the cause of the 6 Rangers coming in late or always leaving. We'll see. You know, I'm actually kind of curious as to what Jonathan Entwistle's team will consist of. You know, when we did our fantasy casting for Jonathan Entwistle's Power Rangers reboot, I started off, while I presented 6, I started off with the concept of 3, like more Ninja Storm type of introduction, and then the team eventually growing from there. But I don't know what the script looks like or what it's certainly asking for. So I definitely don't know in that regards. So if anything, I would just say we'll have to wait and see. So I don't know if they're going to start off with 5. And then we're going to get a 6th Ranger. I guess it's really going to depend on how many episodes each season is going to be. Like, will the movie introduce us to 3 and yet the series expands it to 5? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. So we'll see. You say, following that, though, the episode of In Space when Zane's powers kept shutting down since he woke up from cryogenic freeze. I wish we had a similar episode with Tyler's dad and Dino's supercharged, like have his powers taken away or highly damaged that he couldn't morph at all, but still have the actor stay on the show physically. Also like to mention that the episode of Zane's powers, he goes on top of the mountain to get lightning to strike his morph or restore his power. Look very similar to the new paper, to the new poster of Thor, Love and Thunder. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. Where he's holding up his axe and the lightning shoots down. Yeah, very much similar to the Zane episode. But that's an interesting concept. I have always complained about Brody's dad like leaving. Like, hey, we found you. Bye. And then he left. Like, bro, we spent this whole time trying to find you, and now you're leaving. So yeah, that might have worked. L'Oreal, what's up, L'Oreal? Ion must have a thing for dad jokes. Am I right? I'm kind of a sucker for them myself. I do love me a good dad joke. Have I seen the movie for Zenkaiger and Karamager yet? No, I have not. Oh, was that the Senpaiger too? If Donbrothers were adapted, how would you handle it? Honestly, damn. I don't know how I would handle that. I would eliminate, God, I would not. There's so many cool concepts in Donbrothers that I want to adapt, but those damn CGI characters, man. If there's a way that I can physically erase every shot of the CGI animals and put in original footage of people in human suits, I would do that. That's how I would handle it. If I can get away with cutting out the CGI animals and do original footage and it be perfect, I would do that. You remember that song that played when the Kyo Rangers put their Q-Tamas in that spinning thing? Maybe it could be used as an alien arcade game our Rangers would play one day. Oh, and what you're writing, that's a pretty cool concept. Let's see here, Ram Jam. What do you think the future holds for Super Sentai? More creativity, pushing for the 50th anniversary. Just no more CGI animals, please, though. But I think they should be fine. Being in the Reiwa era, I think they should be fine in regards to how they're handling it. The fact that they've really spent the last 3 seasons being unique and doing things differently. I think we'll have some fun with it. I think we'll have some fun. If Stanley had produced Power Rangers instead of Saban, how different do you think it would have been? Would have even been called Power Rangers to something else? I don't know. I call like Morphine Rangers or Energy Rangers or I don't know. I don't know what it would have been called, but I would have been interested to kind of see that. I would be interested to see, like, if Stanley did create Power Rangers, would Power Rangers be as huge as the MCU is right now, right? Like, we've got teams like in the MCU, the Defenders, right? Heroes for Hire. What if there were a Power Rangers team in the MCU? That would be pretty cool. Have you checked the Power Rangers playback YouTube channel, Nakia and Catherine Sutherland? Yeah, I have. I definitely have. Oh, you give me the link to their YouTubes. They do reviews. Yeah, I think Liana Ramirez is going to be on there this week. So I think she's scheduled to be on their episode. Jessica Friedman, would you like to see Zach or Kimberly make a guest star appearance for the 30th anniversary? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if we'll get both of them, but one or the other I would definitely take. Johnny Marrero. Was that your only question, Jessica? Yeah. Johnny Marrero. Could Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus play a part and help Hasbro make Power Rangers a priority, like what they are doing with the upcoming Transformers animated series? Probably not. Probably not. Power Rangers doesn't even belong to Nickelodeon. I don't see any reason why Nickelodeon would want another brand or another company to succeed with a Power Ranger property that they failed miserably at. So probably not. And the only way I would see Paramount Plus to play a part in helping Hasbro make it a priority is if it was dropped from Netflix and Paramount decided to go ahead and pick it up. With Netflix animation shut down, could the future Power Ranger animated content move towards Paramount Plus instead? Now, did they say it was going to shut down or that they're, reeling back on it? Let me see. Netflix animated, because I thought I did read something. Yeah, Netflix already cancels plans for 2 animated shows. Meghan Markle's Netflix series has been canceled animation-wise. Where'd that article go? The Wrap. Oh, this was April 20th, huh? Netflix animation erased, executives fired, shows canceled, and accusations of staged data. An exclusive report from The Wrap. Man. It says the kids and family space at Netflix animation has changed. Series that benefited from great word of mouth and critical praise aren't being renewed, and several high-profile projects that have unceremoniously been canceled, including long delays. Okay. Stock, which just saw its stock plummet more than 30% after revealing a subscriber and revenue loss, isn't just in trouble on Wall Street, but it's facing complications in Toontown. So yeah, I guess they are. Damn. That's a good question, bro. It might. It might. But again, they've already paid for it, so maybe not. Like, this stuff's already been paid, so there's a part of me that thinks that it still will happen. But I don't know. I really don't think that what Jinsaku said is true about the Power Rangers not being a priority. It is. I'm sure that they are just taking their time with the film, but at the same time, we need new PR content, and I don't want PR to dump again. And we have come too far. What do you think, Adam? So, I mean, but see, I think you kind of just contradicted yourself there a little bit, Johnny, in the sense that, you say that you say you don't think that what Jinsaku said is true about Power Rangers not being a priority. You think it is a priority, right? But you say, I'm sure they're just taking their time with the film. So taking your time is not making something a priority. You know what I mean? Like when I think of like priority, that means like, man, we got to really push this forward, put all of our momentum behind it, if you will. Like, I guess I just view the idea of priority meaning we have a lot of other things that are coming up much sooner than that of Power Rangers. So that's where our priority is changing to right now. And we've taken our priority off of Power Rangers, but that doesn't mean we haven't stopped making it. We're still making it. We're just kind of taking our time, right? So I think you're saying the same thing, but you're kind of confirming also in the sense that you think that they're not really prioritizing it since they are taking their time. And that's kind of how I feel about it also. So we are going to get new PR content. We've got a 30th anniversary coming. If people haven't forgotten, we also still have a second half of Dino Fury to go. So we have at least a full year of Power Ranger content at our disposal and certainly coming. What we get after that, who certainly knows? If they need more time, somebody call David Yost. I feel like they probably already have, which is why he's coming back for Power Rangers, the 30th anniversary. And I'm very much under the impression, just my own speculation, that you get David Yost with two things. Very compelling script to give Billy something to do, and maybe an extra incentive in regards to coming back in the form of your own limited revival series, maybe. So we'll see. We'll see. And I also still believe for Power Rangers sitcom for Netflix. Also, I still believe for Power Rangers sitcom for Nick and Paramount. We'll see. It depends on what Hasbro wants to do. Do they want, a lot of their property already kind of belongs on Netflix right now. But if there's more additional Power Ranger content, maybe they will be a little bit more cautious in spreading out their content to lower that risk, if you will, like risk management. You know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why I get why they're putting so much stuff on Netflix. You want all that stuff to be in one cinematic universe, right? But at the same time, if it feels like one of those things where, I don't know, I just feel like it would eliminate a lot of risks of having to worry about something not doing well and then the rest of it just kind of all falling apart. Even though I think we'll still get it regardless. Carter, what's up, Carter? Appreciate your questions. Is it true that the guy who played Billy in Mighty Morphin is returning for the next season of Power Rangers? It is. It's been revealed, at least for us, in an exclusive report that from the Illuminati, that their sources are confirming that yes, Mr. David Yost himself will be returning for the 30th anniversary. Is there a chance that this new 30th anniversary, both the season anniversary episode itself, will be a hit or miss? I've seen the past two anniversaries and they've been incredibly underwhelming and bad. Forever Red will always be my favorite or best anniversary episode in Power Ranger history. So is there a chance that both the season and the anniversary episode itself will be a hit or miss? There's always a chance. I mean, there's always a chance, right? And it's not necessarily an anniversary episode per se. I mean, it seems like it's an anniversary season. It was what it feels like. I don't know. Maybe they have one particular episode in there that is specifically for an anniversary, but I'm very much under the impression that this story will be told. One, it's going to be in a different format, right? Illuminati has revealed to us that it's going to be fewer episodes in this season, but longer episodes, transitioning to 44 minutes long. So you get that opportunity to already approach a crossover and an anniversary season vastly different than we did before, with much more time to tell the stories that you certainly want to tell. And so could it be a hit or miss? Absolutely. But I think this one might be kind of special. Might be kind of special. If so, do you think he will be in more than one episode? I don't believe so. I believe they've mentioned he's expected to be in at least one episode, or maybe no more than one episode. So at least one episode. I see his photos on social media, and it looks like he's getting very ripped. I don't think he would keep showing pictures of himself working out for only appearing for one episode. I believe he has another project as well that has not yet been announced. And that's what we've been saying, right? When they first announced David Yost, is that him working out, one, he's probably getting back into his Ranger fit, but there could also be his other project that's maybe been greenlit, but not announced as of yet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, though. And last but not least, good old Jack Daniels. That's how you end an evening, my guy, with a shot of Jack Daniels. What's the difference between Go-Go Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when it comes to the comics? You know, that's a good question, man. I felt like, well, they no longer have Go-Go Power Rangers any longer. They now do have two series. You've got Mighty Morphin and you've got Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin does focus on the MMPR team. Power Rangers focuses on the three characters that left the MMPR team in Trini, Zach, and Jason, as they eventually go on to become Omega Rangers themselves. They said, screw this peace conference. We're still going to be Power Rangers. And they are Omega Rangers that have adventures in space as of right now. So, but when it comes to the difference between Go-Go Power Rangers, I always felt like Go-Go Power Rangers was a lot more like maybe more intimate in regards to like character relationships and character stories and stuff. Whereas Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was a little bit of that, but also really big bombastic action too. But I always thought they always worked counter or together with each other, if you will. I don't necessarily know if it was like read Mighty Morphin and then jump into Go-Go Power Rangers. They felt like they had their own styles about them. But I always preferred Mighty Morphin Power Rangers personally. What would make a Dark Power Rangers show or movie that kids can still watch with their parents and allow some swearing and heavy topics? What would make a Dark Power Rangers show or a movie that kids can still watch with their parents and allow some swearing and heavy topics? I mean, maybe you can get away with like a TV-14, you know, like still that young adult sort of mindset. So where like your swearing isn't anything ridiculous. Maybe it's like damn or hell or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe shit briefly. I don't know. I don't know if you would throw a shit in there either. But you might be able to get away with some light swearing and heavy topics from a TV-14 type of style where kids can maybe still watch or at least see and not be too offended. What do you think of the Morphing Grid and Power Rangers, and how would you simply explain it to someone who doesn't follow the series after Mighty Morphin? And does Super Sentai have a Morphing Grid too, or their powers just come out of nowhere? I don't think they've got a Morphing Grid. If you guys have watched Super Sentai longer than I have, I don't recall there ever being like a one power source. Feels it just changes each season. It changes in regards to where that power source or energy comes from. So yeah, each one is different. Whereas Power Rangers definitely focuses very much on the Morphing Grid, and I think even more so now than ever before. You know, I always just, at this point when it comes to the Morphing Grid, I just throw my hands up and say, just like Jesus, the Morphing Grid works in mysterious ways. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes the Morphing Grid might want to give you a skirt when you really don't want one. Sometimes it might think you're a dude when you're a chick. You know, sometimes it thinks you're an adult when you're really a teenager. It works in mysterious ways, man. You never know what you're gonna get. It's just like rolling the dice sometimes with the Morphing Grid. But listen, you know, I will say, if anything, the Morphing Masters have definitely done a great job of expressing how the Morphin Grid certainly works. If you are curious, hell, I would even recommend the Power Ranger Universe comic book that deals with the Morphing Masters as they are attempting to study the Morphin Grid also. So definitely pick up the Power Rangers Universe series, especially if you're big into the Power Ranger comic books or thinking about dabbling in it. So those are definitely some great questions, guys. So thank you very much for everybody that definitely joined me here today. So yeah, man, I think that's going to wrap up today's show. And if anything, later on this week, guys, we certainly will be having episodes. If anything, we certainly will be having episodes of Donbrothers. If not tomorrow, then definitely on Wednesday. So certainly expect that. And as of right now, we will have an episode of Morphinominal next Saturday, but or this upcoming Saturday, but I definitely will keep you up to date. What's up, DHR2? Appreciate you coming through in here. So now that Netflix is the home for PR, do you think that they will go back to blows to the face instead of the body parts in terms of fighting scene goes? Jonathan Entwistle stuff, yes. Kids programming stuff that comes out of there, I'll say yes. I'll say yes. I think they will. I think they will. Good to see you in here, DHR. Thank you for coming through, man. All right. Thank you guys for certainly coming through. Datilla says, I made it late, but I'm here. I'm actually just about to go ahead and shut down. Adam, do you think you can quickly look at the tweet I retweeted you? It can be a little mini news segment. Let me see what you got. It's 11 o'clock here at night. I have gone my full 3 hours, but I will go ahead and pull this up here real quick. MMPR is now on Pluto TV. Okay. Let me see what we got here. Share. Power Rangers on Pluto TV. Interesting. They're going that route. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Jason Stephenson. Power Rangers has ironically come back to Paramount in that the original series is now airing on Pluto TV through their Forever Kids channel previously, dedicated exclusively to airing Dick Entertainment. Jesus, is that the name of it? DIC Entertainment? God, yeah, I can come up with a better acronym. Jesus, guys. Cartoons and classic Nelvana programming. Jesus. Like, we couldn't come up, you couldn't call it DC. Well, I guess you couldn't call it DC Entertainment, but damn. But that's cool, man. That's cool. I dig it. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Pluto TV. I do have Pluto TV app on my phone, so maybe I'll throw on some episodes there. So thank you very much, guys. Great bits of information from the A Games 10. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So yeah, Power Rangers ironically come back to Paramount in that the original series is now on Pluto TV, guys. Check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. There was a notification that I had gotten up here also. All right. Other than that, guys, that will do it for us here, but we certainly will be back next weekend. I'm going to go hang out with my boy. He's probably sleeping, so I'm probably just going to attack his face and his cheeks while he's trying to sleep, and then go hang out with the missus for the rest of the night. But I will see you guys later on this week. In the meantime, though, because I'm exhausted from a long days of work, do me a big favor, guys. As always, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.